Hello, and welcome to the Actual Tech Media MegaCast. My name is Jess, and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information to cover with you. Let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. Now, if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Also, keep in mind that if you have any tech issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you. So throughout today's MegaCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all of your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. And if we do not get to your question during the webinar, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us today will be following up with you after we wrap. All right, next up on our tour, there are going to be lots of cool aha moments in the MegaCast today, and if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there in your audience console, and the hashtag for today's MegaCast will automatically get added to your post. And our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the Handouts tab for some resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection of solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. And if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes we will be giving away throughout the MegaCast today. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. You do need to be in attendance here live at the webinar in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all winners after we wrap the MegaCast today. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, hey, if you're not sure what those are, no problem. You can find the full T's and C's in that Handouts tab. Again, just click into the Handouts section, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find the full T's and C's waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember here today is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. In today's MegaCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all the questions asked after the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about winning, and we will get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the MegaCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going. So let's connect on social. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content right away after we wrap, you want to jump right in, make sure that you subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and to grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you're going to find a link to do that right there in that Handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected after we wrap today. Now, both you and your coworker, your friend, could win a prize, and we actually hold those drawings every month. So be sure you refer somebody awesome before you head out today. It could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your Handouts tab and fill out the application. Then the Actual Tech crew will match you with some vendors that we think you should be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you can choose to join in, like surveys or test running new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you will learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker in your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, how to prevent and recover. The site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. So go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books are going to work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and they are completely free, super easy. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in the handouts tab as well. Okay, well, we've covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get rolling.
All right. Well, hi, hello, and welcome. I hope that you are ready for our day today because we are talking about next generation endpoint management and protection solutions and strategies. And this is a really cool topic to dig into because it's just so different than it was a few years ago, right? I mean, for a lot of you, company equipment is rarely, if ever, in the office, right? Quote unquote office, because you may not even have a consolidated office. Many of us have workforces that are spread across the world and we're working wherever, definitely outside of any company walls, actual walls, or firewalls. Some of you may have teams where you send a device to your coworker. Others may have a choose your own device setup. Basically, it is complicated. It is layered. It is changing, and likely it's going to keep going in those directions. So how do we adapt? How do we manage and protect endpoints in this world that we live in the workforce that we live in? So luckily, the awesome folks at Kaseya, CyberArk, Tanium, KnowBe4, Sophos, and Automex have some ideas. They have some answers. They have some solutions. And this is going to be a great day. I can't wait to get started. So I hope you all have your coffee. I hope you have your leftover Halloween candy next to you and ready to go. And we are going to jump right in. I'll introduce myself again. My name is Jess. I am a moderator here at Actual Tech Media, and my fellow moderators, Scott Becker and Keith Ward, will be joining us here throughout the day on live chats. We got a whole awesome crew with us. Speaking of awesomeness, let's talk about prizes. Today on the MegaCast, you could win one of 3 Kindle Scribes, plus we have a $300 Amazon gift card that we will be giving away every 30 minutes to some lucky winners who are here live and present with us at the MegaCast. Now, as I mentioned in the housekeeping chat this morning, you can find the full T's and C's linked for you in the handouts tab. So if you have any questions about those, they are waiting for you there. All right, well, with that, let's get into some of our awesome content today because we have lots to cover, and I am so excited to introduce you all to our very first speaker, our keynote speaker here today, who is a familiar face and friend, and that is, of course, the one and only David Davis, Actual Tech Media partner and V-expert, all-around fascinating human. David, I am so happy to have you here with us today to kick off our MegaCast. I'm going to hand things on over to you. Take it away, my friend.
Thanks for the introduction. It's great to be on the MegaCast today. I want to chat with you a little bit about identifying next generation endpoint management and protection solutions. And let's just start off with what I think is a critical statistic when it comes to the current landscape of endpoint security, or really just security in general. And that is that 75% of IT managers out there say that they're facing more sophisticated attacks in the last year than ever before. And that comes from the Cybersecurity Trends Report. And so why is that? Well, we know that cyber criminals are using more and more sophisticated techniques. You've got advanced malware, you've got ransomware, zero-day exploits, AI, phishing, social engineering, and combine that with remote work vulnerabilities, device proliferation. You've got distributed devices, laptop, desktop, mobile devices, and data distributed in the cloud. You've got IoT devices, and then we constantly have, of course, patch management challenges and just simply a lack of visibility and control. These IT managers, and I suspect you out there in the audience, feel like you just don't have a single place to go to gain visibility and control over your IT infrastructure and your company's critical data. And at the same time, we've got resource constraints. We've got small teams, and that's especially true in small and medium-sized businesses. Combine that with compliance and regulatory pressure, and oh, hey, what about our proliferation of security tools? Some of us don't have tools. Others of us have just way too many tools that aren't integrated at all. And we feel like we've got a tremendous gap in our protection as well as our visibility. So, why should we be looking at next generation solutions to help solve this problem or fill this gap? Well, I feel like the simple answer to this is that it's going to take some super solutions, some next generation solutions to fight today's super attackers. And so here comes Lego Superman just because, he's cool. But back to the question of why next generation solutions. Well, these tools can provide us with the visibility that we need into the advanced threat landscape. And that'll give us a faster response using things like artificial intelligence and machine learning to identify threats and respond to those threats faster than before. And these next generation tools can also help us in our complex IT environments that all of us are struggling with, as well as our remote and mobile workforce. That way, no matter where the threat tries to enter our network and access our data and applications, we've got that rapid detection and response that we need. And then, of course, combine that with user education and awareness training, simulated phishing attacks, and reduced alert fatigue so that we just get the alerts that we need. And most of those alerts are dealt with proactively. That's what I'm envisioning from the ecosystem of next generation solutions that you're going to be learning about on the MegaCast today. After all, security is like an onion. Hopefully, you've heard that saying before. You have to implement security in layers, but it also needs to be an integrated onion, if you will. I'll just coin that term myself. So you have to fit together the pieces of the puzzle very intelligently, and that's what these types of next generation solutions can do. You don't want to just blast out a shotgun of different solutions that don't complement each other well. You need complementary and integrated solutions. For example, maybe end user security awareness training combined with an advanced threat detection system, combined with an identity and access management system, combined with advanced patch management, all integrated together and all working together in a slick, layered, integrated onion. I love it. And we've got some awesome solutions here on the MegaCast today. You'll be learning from their experts, and I encourage you to ask them as many questions as possible. Get all your questions answered about how these solutions are going to solve your security challenges and prevent these malicious attacks before they happen. And oh, by the way, how are they going to integrate together? How are they going to work together? So to sum it up, I encourage you to look for opportunities to embrace, layer, and integrate these next generation solutions for maximum protection. Thanks for listening to me here for a few minutes on our introductory keynote. If you have questions or comments on today's chat or just want to follow me, I'm over on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'm always glad to chat. I hope that you learn a lot on today's MegaCast, and I encourage you to, again, take action on the solutions that you see today. Schedule a demo, see these solutions in action, do a proof of concept, and try them out for yourself. Have a great MegaCast.
Well, thank you, David. We will have a great MegaCast. I'm laughing about smooth, slick, integrated onion. That is quite the metaphor. I've heard a lot of metaphors for security programs, and that is the first time I have heard that. I think Jawbreaker might have been more appropriate post-Halloween, but you know what, David? We'll go with slick, smooth, integrated onion. I like that. All right. Well, I am curious now. Question for all of you. And no, it is not what's your favorite security metaphor, although always happy to hear those. What we're wondering about is what's your time frame? So what kind of time frame do you have in mind for updating your existing IT solutions at your company? Today, we're talking about endpoint management. Is this an urgent problem? Do you have to have these, immediately right away changes and upgrades or whatever you're looking to implement? Or is this more like long-term, just doing some research, seeing what's out there, and let us know where you're at? Again, no wrong answers here. This just helps our speakers know whether or not they're looking at people that have a little bit more urgency in that timeline or a little bit more of that long-term strategic research phase. And I'm seeing, to be honest, the vast majority of you in the not sure phase. And I love starting a webinar like that. I love starting a webinar with a little bit of not sure, because that means you guys are all open. You're here to learn. You're excited to pick up all the information that you can. And that brings us to our very first presenter. So let's get things rolling today on the MegaCast here. I am so happy to introduce you all to our very first expert expert speaker here with us, and that is Keenan Bell, Senior Product Marketing Director at Kaseya. Keenan, thank you so much for kicking us off today. I know you have a lot of great stuff in store for us, so I'm going to step back and hand things on over to you. Take it away.
Jess, thank you so much. So yes, we're here to talk about how VSA can help you monitor, manage, automate, and secure your entire IT ecosystem. My name is Keenan Ball. I'm joining you live from rainy Vancouver, Canada, where no surprise, it is raining. So I'm going to do a little bit of problem setting, and then I'm going to chat about how VSA can specifically make your life incredibly easy from both a security and a management standpoint. So last year, small and medium businesses faced 72,000 ransomware attacks per day. It's an eye-watering sum. It's horrifying. It keeps me up at night. The good news is, us here and many of the other vendors on this call collaborate together, stop, collaborate, and listen to protect you. So where's this ransomware coming from? Here's what we found. First, and honestly one of the most important and one of the least indexed on, is unpatched systems. Software, OS, and hardware provide an easy entry point for attackers. 57% of successful ransomware attacks are from known vulnerabilities, often solved vulnerabilities. And the idea that our business could just cease to exist because our rascally end users just refuse patches is devastating to me. You need tools that can handle that for you, fully automatic. Next, phishing. This should come as no surprise. 1 in 8 employees are likely to share information requested in a phishing email or click an infected link without thinking. And that number rises to 3 in 8 for the small and medium business, more than 25%. This is why 65% of cyber gangs use phishing as one of their primary methods of initial compromise. Next, and the root cause here, is complexity. Open ports. Those incorrect firewall settings just leaving your front door open to the world. You need a solution that can automatically harden your configurations as soon as a new device checks in on your network. And then finally, and this probably occupies the most amount of attention in the popular consciousness, but stolen login info. Old admin level credentials are being bought and sold on the dark web at frightening velocity and for offensively low sums. The Colonial Pipeline attack, those passwords were bought for 17 cents. Apparently it only takes 17 cents to take down a major piece of East Coast critical infrastructure. This shows you the importance of two-factor authentication. So why is IT so hard? Well, centrally, the work it takes to manage IT is overwhelming the staff it takes to do it. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on that in a second. Next, of course, security is a rapidly moving target. Bad actors are constantly changing their methods. Your tools need to be evolving equally quickly. Next, humans are really easy to fool via phishing and social engineering. Trust is an evolutionary trait. It was essential to move out of our initial agrarian collectives into society and then eventually civilization. But on the internet, everyone is trying to screw you. And then finally, this is, of course, profit motivated, right? For both state-sponsored and just organized crime are getting into ransomware because it makes them money. So I want to zoom in on this top point. Why does the work it takes to manage IT, why is it burning us out inherently? Well, it's because the fundamental expectations of our job have changed. In the beginning, we only had 3 endpoint types: laptop, desktops, and servers. Often we'd trundle upstairs, trundle downstairs, and just solve it right then and there. Or at worst, we'd have a truck roll. But then things got complicated, and they got complicated really quickly. So we have everything we had before, and we have Macs network devices, we have security solutions, mobile devices, public cloud, private Chromebook, virtual desktops, IoT. Oh my goodness, my head is spinning. How can we possibly be expected to manage this explosion in endpoint type and endpoint count? Well, there's always 2 answers for when you are expected to do more with less. And generally, the only answer that businesses ever choose is technology. So the market responds. The market responds with these incredibly fragmented tools. The average IT shop has somewhere between 3 and 4 different tools to manage their endpoints. The number is closer to 4, it's 3.7. There's, of course, a hard cost associated with this. You're paying 3 times, 4 times as much as you should to manage your endpoints. But there's a much more insidious soft cost associated with this. Harvard Business School calls this the toggle tax. Bain & Co. calls this the space between. Both of these independent studies came to roughly the same conclusion, which is that IT professionals waste somewhere between 15 and 25% of their day alt-tabbing back and forth and context switching. 15 to 25%. If you're burned out, if you're working 50 hours a week, if you're canceling vacations, this is why. And from a security perspective, it's also not only increasing your burnout, you're getting alerts from 3 to 4 different solutions, you're having to monitor 3 to 4 different solutions, But you also have to make sure that the configurations are correct between them, that you don't have dueling policies. If there's any endpoint overlap between these solutions, it is significantly increasing your attack surface. To echo what David so excellently said shortly, you need your solutions to be integrated, and you need as few as possible. And that's just for your own convenience, and that's for security. To put a finer point on it, you, the IT professional, are managing the past, the present, and the future all at the same time. So of course you're burned out. You're working in 3 timelines. Marvel can't even do that, and they have billions of dollars. So let's talk about how specifically VSA can help you. So what is VSA anyways? It stands for Virtual Systems Administrator. You don't need to know that. We are a 5-in-1, truly unified remote monitoring and endpoint management solution. We combine best-in-class asset management, very easy and automated IT reporting so you can prove your value to clients or your executives. Fully automated set and forget patch and software management with a catalog of more than 280 patchable third-party applications. If you count the sub-variation software, which I probably don't, it's closer to 600, which is immense. Remote control, of course, and a very sophisticated but actually easy to use automation engine. And we do this all in one solution that your techs are actually going to enjoy using. So I mentioned true unified endpoint management. What does that actually mean, right? So first off, I want to tell you what's new in VSA 10, but I'm going to get to that point in a second. First off, VSA is kind of an industry-defining solution. We've been around for 20 years. We were really the first RMM in the space. Nowadays, of course, we've kept up with the times. We are that slick, that integrated onion. Version 9, we often compare the Emperor Palpatine, unlimited power, but kind of ugly. Version 10, Kylo Ren, unlimited power, total smoke show. We unify every endpoint you manage into a single solution. It's a modernization of what made VSA great. We've enhanced and refactored policy management to make it truly easy and to make it extendable and ensure there's never dueling policies. We have a visual automation workflow editor. So this is a drag and drop interface for building automated workflows. Makes it super easy, even for a tech fresh out of uni, fresh out of college, to automate the tickets and tasks that they hate. Advanced reporting engine, I already mentioned, so you can easily automate both the preparation and the delivery of reports to different stakeholders, import and export from industry-leading BI solutions. A lot of highly requested features are in version 10 as well. Network monitoring. So this is honestly a network management product at this level. If you use Datto networking solutions, this is a network performance management solution at this point, so you can cut another tool out of the mix. Remote chat, and you can build automated workflows based on chat responses. So you can ask questions using an automated workflow, and based on the response, a different automated action will occur. Incredibly easy. Self-service troubleshooters, so you can have your end users solve their own problems in a way that's easy, repeatable, and done the same way every time. I know that's difficult with end users. And a brand new improved mobile app. So you can play Starfield on your main computer and do your job from your iPad next to you. Or if sales calls you in a fury on the weekend, then you can fix their printer without actually having to leave your kid's soccer game. Makes your life a lot easier. I mentioned true unified endpoint management. What does that mean? To me, it means 2 things. It means 1, it's unified in what it can manage. So from Mac, Linux, BSD, Windows, of course, Raspberry Pi, mobile devices, network devices, printers, routers, switches, firewalls, virtual machines, cloud endpoints. Oh my goodness, you name it. Industrial IoT, we can manage it. And it's unified in how it manages it too. So if you suddenly log in on Monday morning, you have to start managing your company's iPhones because your CEO's iPhone got hacked over the weekend, you can do that because you already know how to, because you know how to manage any other endpoint. So there's unity across policy, configuration, monitoring, remote control, and reporting. Makes your life a lot easier. We offer unified security. So, going back to where ransomware is coming from, we tackle all of them built out of the box. So first off, we have fully automated patching. This is security and a productivity play, and we have an extensive third-party catalog, and we vet our patches to minimize day 1 disruptions. We can empower you to monitor for so many classic signs of ransomware out of the box. Monitoring for new RMM agents being installed, escalating privileges, snapshots being deleted, files being encrypted, the presence of ransomware note, you name it. We're an incredible hardening tool as well. End users are rascals. Don't let them do damage. They'll do as much damage you let them do. You can leverage VSA's policies to close ports, enforce 2-factor authentication, prevent scripts from being executed by end users. And then perhaps the most exciting element of why VSA is a top-notch security solution is We can actually quarantine endpoints. We've got a module called ransomware detection. It detects ransomware style behavior. First, it tries to kill it. It's pretty good about that. If it can't, it can quarantine the endpoint, disconnecting it from the network. The attacker loses persistence. The end user loses control too, but it's probably their fault. But you don't lose control. So then you can just initiate a restore from backup. So let's dive deeper on patching. How can an organization gain or even regain the upper hand on vulnerability management? It starts with good asset management. You need that up-to-date asset inventory so you understand if your organization is impacted by a new vulnerability. VSA offers this through deep, rich, and continuous discovery. So, if you've got that marketing laptop kicking around, we're going to know about it because we're always looking for new endpoints. We've got off-hours patching as well. We can wake an endpoint up in the middle of the night, patch that bad boy, and turn it off again like we were never even there. Never worry about end users rascaling and preventing patches because they won't even know they're happening. They'll just think that they don't need to restart the computer anymore. And you can use policies to make sure they still restart their computer occasionally for performance reasons. It wouldn't be VSA if you couldn't automate everything. This is truly set and forget patching. We got sort of two models of patching. We've got our desired state patching, which you can see here, where you just tell us what you want to happen and we'll make it happen. And then we also have a policy-driven patching, which allows you pretty much unlimited granularity to suit your unique business's needs. And finally, risk-based patching as well. So you can easily set up workflows that say, let's say CVSS score 9.5 and above, patch by end of day. It's a critical vulnerability actively being exploited. It's worth interrupting end users. Maybe 9 and above, you patch over the next couple of days. Give your end users some snoozes. 8 and above, patch within 2 weeks. 5 and below, maybe you wait however long your compliance standard or insurance policy allows you to wait. It makes it incredibly easy. Software vulnerabilities rose by more than 25% last year. So it's really important that you have VSA's sort of dual approach to managing critical vulnerabilities, this comprehensive set and forget patching and constant monitoring for indicators of compromise. And yes, we can do both Mac and Windows and Linux patching as well. So whatever architecture you're using, we got your back. Let's dive deeper on monitoring. As I said, I recommend this dual approach. You need the constant monitoring and the comprehensive patching. Let's talk about the monitoring. So this isn't exactly as simple as a collection of scripts, but it isn't not as simple as a collection of scripts. And we give you all these scripts right out of the box. But VSA can be monitoring for new admin creation, attackers trying to move laterally through the network, foreign RMM agents being installed, boot files being altered, deleted backups. There's so many signs of ransomware that your endpoint management solution, your RMM, should be able to catch, and VSA will catch it for you. And even better, you can leverage our, we consider VSA to be the center of your cybersecurity schema through this, unified security management, this slick integrated onion, as David said. I usually use an air filter analogy. So you need your HEPA filter, you need your charcoal filter. We got all of them. So we integrate with leading AV, AM, and EDR solutions to ensure that 100% AM, AV, EDR compliance. For some reason, end users love deleting antivirus. I don't get it. I think it comes from the Norton days in 2003. We're integrated with leading NOC services and managed SOC services so that wherever whether you're doing it in-house or you're outsourcing it, we are good to go on that front. As I mentioned earlier, we have native ransomware detection built right into VSA so we can detect ransomware style behavior and automatically quarantine infected machines. We're fully integrated with leading backup vendors as well, and we can initiate restores. We can start backups. Whatever you need can be built into automated workflows in VSA, and we document the whole process in associated tickets. So rather than coming in Monday morning and seeing that, oh my goodness, 7 of my endpoints are already locked up, you instead come in where your EDR solution detected a ransomware attack in progress. It told VSA about this. We immediately quarantined the endpoint and then initiated a backup from whatever backup vendor you are. So instead, you come in Monday morning and you receive some alerts that a ransomware attack has been foiled. Exciting stuff. I promised you earlier truly easy automation, and we are going to back that up. First off, we sort of had a few different solutions to democratize automation, to make, because automation is a key part of security, right? Automation is things happening without your direct intervention and done the same way every time. And both of those are key for security. You need to respond quickly, and you need to have that guaranteed response that you know it's going to happen. So what we did is we noticed that our online library of scripts, only 2 guys were actually contributing to it. 95% of our scripts came from those 2 guys. So we hired them, and now we have a team of scripting geniuses on staff who are going to be writing scripts for you every release like clockwork. We have the most out-of-the-box automation on the market today, and we have a continued investment in you. Every release, like clockwork, you're getting new scripts, you're getting new reporting templates, you're getting new monitoring sets. But to use a clunky analogy, this is giving you a fish you only eat for a day. While we've got thousands of scripts in the product already, you can only do those 1,000 actions, right? So we also wanted to teach you to fish so that you can eat for life. So this is our automation workflow builder. This is a no-code, low-code, pro-code way of building a new automated workflow. It's if-then statements, it's workflows launching workflows, it's not statements as well. What you got here on the screen is how to remediate the dreaded printer ticket. If ticket received, that printer doesn't work, then reboot print spooler, ask them if they fixed it. If it said yes, then you update the ticket, close the ticket. If they say no, then you update the ticket with everything the little robot did and forward it on IT. To build the ransomware remediation workflow, it is just as easy. If alert received from either your monitoring routines or Datto EDR that a ransomware attack is in progress, first try to kill the malicious process. If that doesn't work, then immediately quarantine the endpoint and initiate a restore from your favorite backup vendor. Check that everything went according to plan, and if it did, then unquarantine the endpoint. It sounds like I'm hand waving. It is literally that easy. This empowers you to be an automation wizard without being a scripting wizard. So I know ROI is top of mind as we head into potentially worsening macroeconomic headwinds. So I wanted to go over specifically the ROI of VSA. So here's what we've seen in real customer case studies. We've seen a minimum of 25% increase in technician efficiency. We've seen a 100% increase in automated tasks and tickets. And of course, that comes from both our script library and just sitting down and making it really easy to tackle those things you don't want to do. And a 98% patching success rate. I know I've talked a little bit about ticketing today, so I wanted to make sure that I hit that up as well. We integrate with leading ticketing solutions. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about Autotask and BMS, but ConnectWise Manage as well, whatever you need. We've seen a 30% reduction in total tickets that are and the tickets that do come in are sold 40% faster. And that comes from a few different places. First of all, that comes from the ability for us to fully remediate a ticket. So if ticket received, that printer doesn't work, reboot print spooler. Comes from good proactive IT management as well, resolving things at the alert level before the end user even notices. But it also, the solve 40% faster comes from a few different places as well. Of course, by having 30% fewer tickets, you can spend much more time on the harder tickets, tickets worthy of your attention. It also comes from the asset synchronization between the two devices, the ability to launch remote control directly from a ticket, the ability to have many of VSA's endpoint management capabilities in the ticket pane itself. So you don't need the Alt tab in the VSA to do it. You can just handle it directly from the ticket. And once again, these are real customer, these are real customer figures. So some closing thoughts before we get to questions, because I know I just have 2 minutes left. The future is unified. It's going to be any device. It's going to be any endpoint. It's going to be anything. The future is easy. You're going to be able to automate and secure more than you ever thought possible without a PhD in scripting, without spending hundreds of hours of setting up, without the hassle. And finally, the future is here. And I want you to try out VSA 10 for free, 14 days, no credit card required, no evil nonsense like that. Don't take my word for it. I want you to try it out for yourself. Heck, if you're behind on patching, just swing by and get caught up on patching. And you don't have to talk to us again if you don't need to. So let's get to Q&A, Jess. So what you got for me?
We've got lots, man. Keenan, I gotta tell you, I've been laughing since the minute you started. You had me at stop, collaborate, and listen, and then it just kept going from there. What a great presentation. Thank you so much for that. And I am going to, before we get into some Q&A, I have a poll question up on the screen for all of you. And what we want to know is what additional information you would like to get about the Kaseya solution. Now, we say poll question, but really this is sort of like a wish list. This is, these are all some really cool resources and opportunities to learn a bit more. So which ones would be most helpful for you? And then Kaseya will get those sent to you so you can have exactly what you want in your email inbox. It's the easy button. So you guys click on that wish list. And while you're doing that, Keenan and I are going to get into a few of these questions. Keenan, are you ready?
Hit me.
All right. All right. Let's unpeel this smooth integrated onion that we've been chatting about today. Keenan, how many applications can VSA patch?
Oh, like I mean, if you count like if you dedupe it, it's about 280. I think it's 286. If you don't
Mhm.
dedupe it, it's like almost 600, 592. But that number's a little disingenuous. So I usually say 280 plus.
Awesome. So lots is what we're
Lots,
saying.
yeah, it's almost everything, and it's pretty easy to add new applications as well if you don't have it.
And integration, we had a few questions about, legacy systems and IT management and security tools. That's all pretty easy.
Yeah, very easy. So anything that can generate an email, you can do at least a base level integration with us through that, which almost every tool can. But we're honestly so tightly integrated with pretty much all industry leading solutions. So that's one where I'd love just sit down with us and let's go through it. Because the answer is probably yes, but there's so many solutions on the market, I can't conclusively say that. But yeah, leading ticketing solutions, leading AV, leading AM, leading EDR, most backup solutions. You betcha.
You betcha. All right. What about size of organization? And maybe we had one person in particular asking about smaller teams where both staff is a little bit lower, but also costs are really important to be aware of. Is there anything that you would want these smaller teams to know?
We're an incredibly cost-effective solution, I'd say. Kaseya is that, we're a pretty big company, so we don't have to make our money just off of VSA, of course. So because of that, we're almost always 30% cheaper than leading solutions. So, and really the point of VSA 10 was it was supposed to be designed so that a small organization, a 2-person, a 5-person IT team can excel, can love their everyday, much like the sort of enterprise teams do. So the whole point was to give you the power that VSA 9 gave larger organizations without needing, a team of scripting geniuses on staff. So like that's the point of the library that we built into the product. That's the point of the automation workflow builder. We meet internally every week and we chat with our IT team about the things they hate. And, pretty much every 30-minute meeting, we automate 2 or 3 different things they hate. So, as a small team, you just do it weekly, and you're going to notice 3 months later that you've automated pretty much everything you hate. And then you're moving on to just dislikes.
I really like that approach. That's great. I think
Iterative design.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are listing in their heads right now all the things they hate and wishing they would go away. Okay, I want to try to sneak in one more question here. It sounds like these folks have been holding off on swapping RMMs for many years due to so much legacy data. Yeah, we hear that a lot. And they have all this legacy data and scripts in their current tool. So nervous about making a transition and wondering if VSA has an automated migration.
Yeah. We actually, I get this question a fair bit. It's really common, these 3-year contracts, you feel locked in, you got this tool that you don't think is really innovating and hasn't kept up with what you need. We make it dead easy. I mean, we've done this thousands of times too, but yeah, we'll migrate your scripts, your data, your configurations, your different, departmental configurations, right? Like, usually engineering and finance have radically different needs and radically different software they need. I will say we often don't need to bring over your scripts because they're already in the tool, but anything we don't have, of course, we're bringing over. But yeah, it's for you, it's automated. For us, it's a heck of a lot of work, but you don't need to worry about that.
I like that. But you guys are managing multiple time zones like Marvel, and you're solving all the world's problems.
You bet. Past, present, future all at the same time.
All right. Well, that's a big job, so I'm going to let you get back to it. But before you leave us, though, if anyone is out there ready to jump in, wants to get started with Kaseya, or just get to know the team a little bit better, what would you recommend as their first step?
Whatever works best for you. Some people are team demo. We've got a great team that'll sit down with you and go through your unique use cases. I'm personally team trial. I would always love to just get my grubby mitts on it. And it's really easy to use. It's got onboardings built into it, so you don't even need to go online. You just watch some videos and product. And as I said, if you're behind on patching, just try it out, man, and get caught up on patching, and you're gonna be the hero of the day.
All right, so the key takeaways already this morning are smooth integrated onions and becoming a Marvel Universe hero. And these are good starts to the day, I think, Keenan. Thanks very much for this. I appreciate you being here with us to kick off our MegaCast.
Thanks for having me, Jess. I had a blast.
All right, and to all of you out there who are clicking on that poll, clicking on that wish list, keep doing that shopping. I also see some awesome high fives coming in from all of you. I agree. Boy, what an awesome way to start out our day. Yeah, big fan of Keenan, big fan of Kaseya. And I hope that you guys all take some time right now to click on that poll, click on the handout, make sure that you visit the handouts tab. So there's actually a link to take you right over to sign up for that free demo. So if demo is your jam, if you are team demo, as Keenan says, hop on over, click on that link, make sure you get signed up for that. It's a great way to just get in the sandbox and start playing. So please do make sure that you're clicking on those links. And, if you don't want to register now, just save that tab open and then hold on to it for when we're wrapped up at the MegaCast and you can come back to it. While you guys are doing all of that, I just gave you a lot of homework. I will reward you for all of those, that hard, heavy lifting and clicking that you're doing right now, with a prize giveaway. So our very first $300 Amazon gift card is going to Ian Radke Rosen of Minnesota. Ian Radke Rosen of Minnesota, you have won. Speaking of Oh You Betcha, the Minnesotans have won today. Congratulations, Ian. We will be in touch about claiming your prize after we wrap up the MegaCast. Now, don't forget, there's still lots more chances to win. Plus, we do have that best question gift card coming at you at the end of each session. So we are looking at all the questions asked in each one of our sessions, and then we will follow up with the best question asked in each session. So even though if we won't get to all the questions live, we're going to do our best. But since sometimes things move very quickly and we can't get to all the questions, don't worry. Just by asking that question, you are still entered to win. So keep those questions coming in, both because it enters you to win that prize, and also, and even better, because it brings up the whole fun of the conversation. Our speakers will get you answers and you will get the information back that you need. So stay tuned for those answers. Stay tuned for those prizes. Keep all of that coming in. And in the meantime, we are going to keep things moving along in this awesome MegaCast. And as you can see, we are keeping the good times rolling here with CyberArk. So I am very happy to introduce you all to Gabriela Galvalo, Solution Sales Specialist, EPM. Gabriela, thank you so much for being here with us today. I am so looking forward to your chat. Now, I know your team is going to join you at the end to help you go through some audience questions. So we want to make sure we leave time for that. You've got a lot to go through. So I'm going to step back and hand things on over to you. Take it away, Gabriela.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriela Galvão, and I'm responsible here for Endpoint Privilege Manager at CyberArk in Latin America. And today we prepare for you a quick presentation about why is this such an important topic and why you should have a solution like EPM on your organization. So really quickly, here's our agenda. We're going to talk about the privilege problem. Then we're going to talk how to solve it with a few strategies that not only CyberArk, but Gartner has been talking about for the past years. Then I bring to you an example from our red team on a customer of theirs that I wanted to share. Closing notes, and then we're going to open up for Q&A. So here we go. Privilege problem. I want to remind everybody about this problem that we have, and it's often seen in many organizations. Every identity in every organization will start their day on the endpoint. Regardless of the job position they're at, the first contact that they will have with the company's environment will mostly involve a server or a desktop. And I bet that most of them will need admin rights to do their job. Maybe they want to launch access applications, they need to add a printer to their desktop or change the time of the machine. What they might not be aware is that all of these identities that have admin rights have the privilege to do basically anything on their machine, such as disable backups, turn off security controls such as EDRs, and launch ransomware. In conclusion, a simple user with a little bit of privilege can damage your entire company. And if it's the case that they don't have necessarily admin rights, they can be a target of other attacks, such as cookie hijacking, giving the malicious hacker the power to get into the company's network almost undetected. And the issue that we see is that the company, right, probably doesn't even know that they're going through this. And this is why the endpoint is called the broadest surface for attacks, and making sure that you have the right identity security strategy for your endpoints, and removing the local admin rights from your employees' machines, may be servers, may be desktop, is no longer a need but a must. The attacks that those identities are facing, if they don't take a proactive and predictive approach to security, is gigantic. And this is why our endpoint privilege strategy is built with the best tools to secure our customers without compromising their productivity. So I'm going to introduce to you three main concepts that, if secure, it will drastically increase your security posture on your endpoints and making sure that you have another layer of security for your next chapters. And here they are. Those three things that I'm going to talk about are the main concern for many customers out there in the world, regardless of their industry: privilege, credentials, and identities. For an attack to be successful, they need to have control of at least one of those three things. And if you don't have an endpoint security strategy that focuses on protecting privileges, credentials, and identities, then you are very, very vulnerable. Many vendors out there, they claim that they can detect the attacker, they can take the attacker out of the organization. What is truly effective in terms of a robust identity security is that you have to unprivilege the attacker to make sure that wherever they are, because they're going to be somewhere, they won't be able to do any harm to your organization. With the functionalities that you can see on the slide, we can make sure that those identities won't be able to escalate privileges to download unauthorized applications, harm your investment on endpoint security tools. They won't be able to steal passwords from browsers or do any sort of cookie hijacking, for example. Making our identity security strategy proactive and predictive, leaving zero room for privileges, credentials, or identities that are not allowed on the endpoint. So let's dive right in one of those three, right? So we're going to start with least privilege. And the real question of today, what can users do with a local admin? And as you can see on this long list on your screen, that might remind you of an opening of a Star Wars movie. If a user needs admin rights for a particular application, script, or function, however small, the only realistic option provided is to grant them full admin rights. This means that these privileged accounts and any attacker that can be impersonating them can do anything, whatever they want. And having unlimited power to do whatever they want is very dangerous. So that is why we bring this concept that is backed by Gartner and other analysts out there in what says that if we eliminate local admins and apply least privilege, we are going to have secure endpoints and happy users. And I know I just put remove local admin and happy users in one sentence, and most of you are probably thinking, this is impossible. How can I get my job done without any admin rights? This would plaster my operation. But the risk that companies are facing by allowing users to have full admin rights is a big gap that leaves the door open for attackers. And I'm telling you that we have a way of removing the local admins from the field. Therefore, we're not exposing the risk of business by limiting their credential compromise, lateral movement, and privilege escalation. And at the same time, we enable users to do their day-to-day work without affecting their productivity. Yes, we can do that, and we are doing it for about 7 years now. Now let's jump out to our next concept, which is credential theft protection. And I'm not sure if we have any type of interaction on this platform, but try to talk to me, send me a question on the chats. If any of you users have clicked the button that you see on the screen that is in blue saying save. And this is just one example of how easy it is to leave hashes of credentials available for malicious hackers. And what users normally don't know, as much as we try to train them, is that the credentials stored on those locations can pose as a great threat to the organization for the hackers, malicious users to use it against the same organization. And here is how we solve it. Every advanced attack starts with credential exploitation and privilege escalation. That's a fact. And nowadays, there are more than 40 possibilities of stealing credentials on an endpoint. It's not if, it is when the attacker will get into your environment. And the volume of credentials that technology asks us to deal with today is insane, making it so easy to compromise. from IAM to API to Windows credentials. Each one of them has the potential to be a vector for an advanced attack. And what we bring with CyberArk EPM is an out-of-the-box advanced threat protection, in which we limit the attacker ability to move in your environment. What we do is lock down the access to local credential stores from the LSASS and OS registry, all the way to the app credential stores of FileZilla, WinSCP, and Chrome. And that can be enabled within the first 5 minutes of implementation. Next up, our next concept, data-centric ransomware protection. And most of you are probably thinking, so many vendors have so many ways of protecting ransomware. And it's true, because ransomware is so dynamic that we have to be always one step ahead of them. And how we offer ransomware protection has a unique angle. It focuses on the attacker's ultimate goal, which is data. It ensures that even if the ransomware is successfully delivered and is able to be executed on the endpoint, it cannot touch the data. CyberArk EPM understands the processes behind the data handlers that are trying to access the data. And if it matches the security postures previously established, okay, we allow it to access our precious data. But I wanted to point out something that is really interesting. What if we don't know what is going on? If it's blocked, of course, we're not going to allow it to access our data. But some applications have some sort of information in which we don't have enough to have them listed as allowed on our environments, but we also don't have enough information to block it. Some of our users use it somehow. What we do is we let it run with limited privileges. We let it run in, let's say, read mode only, for example, until we understand how well it behaves and we decide where to properly list them. What I want to say is that we ensure that all of the other agents, what EPM's process behind this is, we think that all of the agents will be bypassed, and CyberArk EPM is the last soldier to protect you. So your company will always be thinking like an attacker and always protecting what is most important to you, your information and your data. Up next, we have identity security. Our last concept to truly protect the endpoint is to make sure that the person accessing your endpoint is who they truly say they are. CyberArk EPM integrates with its IDPs and takes advantages of an authentication workflow that includes MFA authentication, and at the same time recommends a zero trust approach without compromising the security involved. And at the same time, we maintain the user's experience without doing anything to their day-to-day. We add an extra layer of security. We have functionalities that understand when there is a high-risk action taking place on the endpoint. And what we do is we can re-authenticate the user. So if they're doing something that is high level, we're going to be like, hi, let's verify if you are really the person that we think you are. We send another MFA, many examples that we have on our database. And if that person is being authorized and it proves that it's the user, we let them do the high risk action. And if it's not, we block them. Again, improving even more your security posture. And another few things that I want to talk to you about is an example that has been recently shared with me with our red team. And I'll explain a little bit what our red team does, and then I'll talk about the example. Our red team is a unique group within CyberArk that provides an adversary simulation service to customers and prospects. And the team has three main goals. First one is to allow our customers and prospects to test and measure their security postures against the same capabilities that they will see on the real life event. The second one is to provide the same service against CyberArk itself based on our own threat model, right? On what we believe and what our securities are. And the third is to assist our consulting teams doing any post-breach remediation efforts, providing what we've talked about a little bit here, which is the think like an attacker mindset. And I just want to say that one thing that I absolutely love about this team is that one of their main motto is from the great philosopher Mike Tyson that says, and I will quote, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face." And this next example that I bring to you is about one of their customers, and I'll start off by showing a real screen shot of the customer's environment that shows a lot about how powerful and intelligent our red team is, as well as how far they could reach this customer's crown jewel. So here it is. It's a real screenshot of the environments. And really quickly, if you can somehow have any type of interaction with the platform, talk to me, send a question, or if you know what this is, if you ever seen this screen in your face before. And if you don't, I will just rephrase it. It's basically who would like to have access to a financial institution's money and be able to send them money anywhere in the world without being detected. It is basically what the screen is and what our red team could get into this customer's environment. As you see on your top left is Allianz Access, which is a messaging interface that allows banks and markets infrastructures to connect to SWIFT controls. And SWIFT controls, if you've done any international transaction, are basically the back doors for the financial transactions and payments between banks worldwide. And what you see in your screen right now is a real screenshot of a real customer, meaning that if a red team was a malicious hacker, they could be sending money from this financial institution to anywhere in the world just with a few clicks. Now, I'll explain to you how did this happen. Many times when our red team gets hired, the real question they get asked is, hey, CyberArk red team, how far can you go into compromising my organization's crown jewels? And then they go and they do their thing, which is basically try any way possible to get routes in which they can show their customer ways that they could damage their environment. On this occasion specifically, they were able to perform an attack called cookie hijacking. I spoke to you in the previous slides, in which they steal a piece of trust that is happening post-authentication. That means after MFA authenticates the user, and that piece of information authenticates you throughout the lifetime of your session. And the attacker assumes the user identity. Therefore, it's giving them the ability to be portable and use the hacker's machine to send traffic to the user machines, bypassing certain geolocations, IP restriction, so the hacker could be anywhere in the world. And if that customer is in, let's say, somewhere in Americas, it could be sending that information over to Americas, even if they could be in any other country in any other continent of the world. The interesting thing here is that cookies are used on the user context. So every single identity will most likely be linked to a cookie. EDRs are not able to block them since it's not on the mandate of EDRs. Cookies don't require privileges to perform. They are required to read processor, read files, which seems like nothing malicious. So these attacks are completely blind to the EDRs and most of the traditional endpoint solutions. Starting with the cookie hijacking attack, our red team was able to compromise their user accounts and move in their environments undetected, with no monitoring or protection of privileged credentials to critical assets, and performed a complete takeover of the SWIFT systems, which for a financial institution, it is basically the end of the world. This company could have stopped this attack at the source if they had a more robust identity security platform and strategy. Two things: they could have our PAM solution with privileged threats analytics in which they could monitor, manage, rotate, and protect those credentials, those privileged credentials to critical assets. And at first, right in the beginning of the attack, if they had our EPM solution that contains privileged theft protection and protection of ghost MFA tokens, in which we could ensure that only legitimate, unmodified sources can access those cookie files. This that I show you here is just a quick, real example of how vulnerable customers might be without the proper strategy of identity security platform. This example that we just shared is happening very often to many huge organizations out there. These attacks have been so popular that they have been listed on one of the 6 predictions of cybersecurity threats from our very own CyberArk Labs. And to finish up to a few more slides for us, I wanted to share with you, this is basically our platform. CyberArk Endpoint Privilege Manager can be rolled out before, after, and during any corporate risk mitigation project. We work in both servers and workstations, Mac, Windows, and Linux. It is 100% SaaS, a very light agent, about 1% off the CPU. And to close our presentation, I wanted to share with you a few of the use cases that a solution that is always thinking like an attacker, like CyberArk Endpoint Privilege Manager, can provide. Excuse me. So first is remove local admin rights, which is a great first step for robust endpoint security strategy, closing many security gaps against attacks. Then we have implement role-specific least privilege, meaning that all of your users can do whatever they're supposed to do with the proper privileges, but with no room for malicious activities. We make sure that we avoid business interruptions. At the end of the day, a minute or a second of business interruptions is a great damage to customers, and we know that. So this is definitely a top goal in mind with a think like an attacker endpoint security strategy. We want to reduce security concerns. Whatever your workforce is, whatever step of the digital transformation you are, our solution is ready to assist you. We also add the protection of credential theft. As we talked about, many attacks starts with a credential stored and is stolen, and CyberArk EPM has the tools to keep you secure against them. And adding this layer of security to your endpoint is making sure that you have visibility to what is happening to their identities, improving your needs of audit and compliance, removing unnecessary admin rights that could potentially harm your environments, and having an endpoint privilege security that is thinking like an attacker, making your identity security strategy proactive and predictive, leaving zero room for privileges, credentials, or identities that are not allowed on the endpoints. And if you want to know more, please reach out to us or check out our blog post that you can click on the screen. That is Endpoint Privilege Needs of Management and Security, How to Obtain Both. It's a very interesting document. And with that, I want to check out if we have any questions on the Q&A tab, so we can answer in the few minutes that we have left.
Awesome. We got a few questions for you. The first one is, do I need to have PAM implemented to buy EPM?
So yes, great questions. And not necessarily. EPM is a standalone solution. And in fact, EPM has become one of CyberArk's top landing solutions because of the quick implementation, rapid risk reduction, and immediate ROI. And there are some benefits that you can have it if you have our PAM solution. So it works with PAM if you have it already, but it works by itself as well. If you have PAM, we add a functionality that we call rotation of credential on your loosely connected devices. So yes, completely separated from PAM and independent in that sense.
Awesome. You mentioned a quick EPM implementation. How long is that, and where should someone start?
Sure, thank you for the question. And it depends. It's a road that goes both ways. We can move as fast as you want us to move. In this case, we work together, right? Our team and your team, to make sure that we are customizing EPM to your needs. But before that, we have what we call quick start implementation, which is a framework that we have developed over the 7 years that we have, that is filled with recommendation, best practices, and gives you a north of what to do to mitigate risks and keep productivity. And then we add to the more intricate details of your environment that we can add. So I really hope that helps, but we can talk a little bit more if you want to know in detail.
Awesome, thank you. And then another question is EPM an agent?
Yes, it is an agent. It is 100% SaaS. It's a very light agent since we basically use rules of privilege to harden your environment. We take about 1% of CPU and about 20 or 30 megabytes of RAM. So definitely an agent.
Awesome. I think we have time for one more question. And that is, does EPM work on servers as well?
Great question. EPM works on all endpoints, servers included. So we cover all workstations and servers that are Windows, Mac, and Linux. So if you have servers on your endpoint, we for sure can be part of that program of protection. Oh, I think this might be the end of our time. Thank you, everyone. If you have any additional questions, please put them on the chat and we will follow up with you. And have a great day.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Gabriella. Really appreciate that. And also to Megan from your team for joining and helping navigate some of those audience questions. Some great information coming at us. I love getting to sit in on those conversations and hear from all of you out there. So high fives to everyone for asking some great questions. Now we have a question back to you. And what we're wondering is, what additional information would you all like to get about the CyberArk solution? So again, this is a poll question, but really think of it as your shopping list. What's going to be helpful? What would help you out in your research? If you have to take this information back to your team, what does the team need to know? So click on those options there and collect that information, and then you'll get exactly what you need from CyberArk in follow-up. I also want to remind you to keep those questions coming in, because anything that we didn't get to, I know Gabriella and Megan tried to get through as many as they could. There's quite a few left still. So we will get back to them either over live chat, or we will make sure they get sent to the CyberArk crew. So you will get responses back over email. All right, my friends. Well, while you are clicking on the poll and getting those last questions in, one more piece of homework. Please do head on over to the handouts tab. Be sure that you've clicked on the CyberArk takeaway there. And there's a wonderful white paper that you can access. And it's really digging into the difference between endpoint privilege management and endpoint privilege security, and then explaining why you need both. So this is a really great and important takeaway from our conversation today. So be sure you've opened that tab. Again, that's the CyberArk link in your handouts tab. Click on that, snag that white paper, and be sure that you've got that ready to or to dig into after we wrap, because there's just a lot of information and it's hard to remember all of this, right? All right, so now I am going to give away a prize, and we have a $300 Amazon gift card, and then we will do a Kindle Scribe. Now, I'll remind you that these do need to be people who are here live and present at the MegaCast, but hey, where else would you want to be? I assume I'm picturing all of you sitting at home with your feet up eating leftover Halloween candy, and I hope that that is true for many of you. And now we'll add in some prizes. So, our gift card, $300 Amazon gift card, going to Michael McClung of Massachusetts. Michael McClung of Massachusetts. And our first Kindle Scribe is going to Kurt Sminky of Pennsylvania. Kurt Sminky of Pennsylvania. Congratulations to you both. We will follow up with you after we wrap. And I do want to remind you to keep those questions coming in. I see Matthew says, I'm always alive, might need more coffee. I hear you, Matthew. I hear you. Go for it. Quick, grab another round, because we've got another presenter in the wings and you're not going to want to miss that. So now's the time. Quick like a bunny, folks. All right. And then I do want to remind you all to keep those questions coming in. Again, not only is it great for the conversation, it helps our speakers along in kind of making sure they're hitting the topics that you're looking for, but also does enter you to win that best question gift card. Even if we do not get to your question live, you are still entered to win. All right. Well, with all of that, as I said, it is time to keep things rolling. So if you ran away to grab more coffee, run on back, because you're not going to want to miss our next session here. I am so excited to introduce our very next expert speaker, and that is Chad Wansing, Director, Technical Account Management at Tanium. Chad, thank you so much for being here with us today. Now, I know you have a lot of info lined up for us. I can't wait to dive in. So I am going to step back and I'm going to hand things on over to you. Take it away, Chad. Oh, Chad, I think we had you muted. Hang tight. Chad, you with us?
Yep. All right. Can you hear me?
Oh, now we got you. Go right ahead.
Okay. No, great. Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So welcome, everyone. My name is Chad Wansing. I am a technical account manager here at Tanium, located in Atlanta. Been with Tanium about 3 years here come December. Looking forward to showing you a little bit of what we do. All right. And I'm missing advancing the slide there we go. Next. Okay. All right. So for Tanium, I'm just going to tell you all now, we don't do a lot of slides. So we're going to get straight into it, right? As I mentioned, Chad Wansing, and we're going to go directly into a demo to show really the power of Tanium. Now, get my screen here, share this up.
We got you, Chad. We can see you.
All right, outstanding. And I'm hoping we're seeing the Tanium console.
That is what we see, yes.
Perfect. Okay, now, as we get into this conversation, right, I have this conversation daily for people looking for different patch solutions. application installation, asset management, right? All of these things that we do. But what I will say is that for everything that Tanium can do, none of these modules are our core value, right? I like a quote from Henry Ford. If I'd have given the people what they asked for, I'd have sold them a faster horse, right? Literally, I get people asking me for a faster horse every single day. How does the Tanium patching thing compare to whatever other patching thing you might be doing today? And what I'll say is, as I mentioned, the core value of Tanium actually isn't any of these modules. To tell that story, I'm going to come up here a little bit to our little question bar, right? And this story starts back 2012. So the founders of Tanium, David and Ryan Hindawi, had already built BigFix, sold BigFix to IBM in 2007. As you can imagine, they made a buck or two, had some time to hang out contractually, but they pulled the team back together and said, guys, that was a great run. How do we take the lessons that we learned there and create something even better? How do we leverage all of this into our next great thing? And they started looking around for inspiration. And one of the things they landed on was actually Google at the time. And as many of you know, Google, when they were originally founded, they weren't built to be the world's best maps app, search engine, any of the other thousand things that those guys do today. Their original mission was to organize the world's data. And, all of the Yahoos and the AOLs and the Netscapes at the time were like, hey, good luck, little buddy. No idea how you'll ever make any money organizing the world's data, but sure, have fun, right? They did okay. But they did okay because they found a more fundamental problem to solve and then built everything else on that. That was the lesson we at Tanium wanted to learn. How do we find something more fundamental? And what we came up with was this idea of asking any question, being able to answer that question with speed and scale, and pivot directly to action. Now, what that looks like in practice is for 1,300 endpoints, well, let's go ask a simple question, right? Maybe that's all of the installed applications in the environment. And while that question's posted out into the environment, I'm going to point to this little current button over here because for Tanium, the idea of current is different from most other tools. For most other tools, current is I did a collection, right? I did an inventory, I pulled it back, I put it into a database, and then I query that database. For Tanium, what we really created was a communications architecture by which I can leverage the endpoints as my database to ask real-time questions and get those responses at speed and scale. Because as you see, even before I'm done talking about that current button, I'm already back with 100% results returned across 1,300 endpoints of every single application. And if we want to go look at all of the different versions of Java in my environment, great. We want to go find all of the Adobe things. Sure. Maybe there's a new vulnerability that just got announced for Adobe Air 1.0, this crazy old version of Adobe sitting in my environment. Immediately I can see it's on 2 endpoints. Okay, which 2 endpoints? Well, let's select that. Let's go drill down. Ask about the computer name, the IP address. Anything that endpoint knows about itself, I can return at this same speed and scale. Let's put this into a scenario real quick, right? I mentioned kind of this vulnerability thing. Okay, well, maybe somewhere down in that vulnerability announcement, because they like to hide this sort of thing, there's a mention of, I don't know, something that mitigates this risk entirely, something strange, right? Let's do maybe an MD5 hash of the SVC host process, right? So, hey, if you've got a particular MD5 hash of this SVC host process, you're totally safe. Well, how quickly can you get to that data today? For me, it's just another question I can ask and have those results back in seconds. The value here being, okay, great, I can get to data, sure, fine. But the bigger message is, how can I put those fires out every day in a more timely way so that the IT operations folks in the environment can go spend more time on the projects that actually bring value to the business, as opposed to answering questions, right? So let's get to those answers quickly. Let's get the fires put out, and let's move on to the really important things. Now, that's asking a question, getting an answer. What about pivoting to action? For Tanium, we run as local system on Windows and root on everything else. For us, everything else being Mac, Linux, AIX, and Solaris. So as much as there's nothing I can't see, there is also nothing I can't do on that endpoint. And so if I wanted to, say, push a local quarantine to the firewall rules, sure, fine. On Windows, maybe I want to go uninstall an application because it's causing problems or just not allowed. Absolutely. One of my favorites I love to pick on is Print Nightmare. And Print Nightmare, for all the great times folks have installing the patch, well, what about that registry key? Not only can I go find that registry key on every endpoint and see what its value is, but I can set up routines to automatically and indefinitely into the future find where it's wrong and remediate it. Asking new endpoints as they come into the environment. Hey, are you how I want you to be? Yes, no. And if no, fix yourself. Right? Now, I'll talk for just a second on our architecture. This is where we started with BigFix, but this is also where we saw the largest room for improvement. What we built was what we call our linear chain architecture. The interesting thing here, we actually get faster the more endpoints you feed me. The reason being, because the more endpoints are out in your environment, the less time between any two endpoints checking in, seeing that there's something to do, and pulling it back. We have no need for all of the relay servers, distribution points, whatever might be in the environment today. If you have the Tanium agent and an internet connection on any endpoint, it is equally under management. We have no reliance on GPO, domain membership, VPN status. None of that matters. And how do we do it? So I've talked a lot about asking questions. We ask questions with what we call sensors. We take action with what we call packages. So if I've kind of made the bold statement of anything an endpoint knows about itself. So what does that comprise, right? Well, let's go look at some of the harder things. You want to go see BIOS information? Absolutely. Want to go find registry keys, subkeys, particular values? Not a problem. Maybe we want to go looking for SSL certs, in particular, maybe those ones that are expiring soon, right? You want me to set up a routine where every 7 days I ask for the certs expiring in the next 30 days? Absolutely. Send that, put it in a ticket, not a problem. One of my personal favorites, browser extensions. Why? Because these things really are a security risk that goes undetected in a lot of places. But Edge, Firefox, Chrome, right? For us, it's just another question we can ask. And I'm going to dig in here on the Chrome extensions, not because we're some Chrome extension specialist, but to show how we can do anything. Because if it can be done with Python, PowerShell, VB script for as long as it's still around, right? WMI, local shell in the case of Linux, Mac, /AIX, I can do it. If you have a PowerShell script that you're running onesie twosie on endpoints today, and you want to hand that to me and say, hey, this would be awesome if I could run this on every machine at the same time and bring that data back, the answer is yes, I can. And for as powerful as I am, being able to ask these questions, right? Leveraging the Tanium agent as just a script execution engine on those endpoints, staying super small, the ability to pivot and equally take action, just as powerful, right? Anything that you can leverage as a command line that can be run by local system or root, we can do. You want to feed me some files as well? Sure, fine. You want to take and have some parameters to pass? Great. Let's call out those parameter values, but more importantly, those parameter values shouldn't just be something that your support teams have to go script into. I'm a firm believer that bare naked parameters, air quotes, mean a product isn't quite done yet. You need click boxes, right? Check boxes, drop downs, notification message windows, copy and paste things in, and then have it included as part of that parameter. Because this is how a product shows you that they're complete, right? They've spent the time for the usability for you and your team to be able to optimize your workflows. Now, with that underlying idea, right, under our belts, let's come back out here again. And, when it comes to reporting, sure, I've got you covered. That's even just the high level stuff. But let's go back to the modules. And hopefully now it's a little bit more obvious when I say that these modules are nothing more than the workflows built on top of something much more powerful. Because when it comes to doing patching, sure, I can do patching. I can do patching as well as anyone. Roll a patch back? Absolutely. More importantly, I can make it a zero-touch operation. I can automatically push every patch into the environment on any given time so that you can get out of doing patching and into validating that your patching got done. Coming in to see, hey, how did this go today? Not, let's go spend the next 6 hours pushing patches. You've got better things to do. The same thing goes for software. I want to get people out of having to go do software pushes and into validating that the software pushes went as they would expect. And if they need to come see where are we at in that process, hey, I'm waiting for my maintenance window to open. Great. Have I pre-staged the patches? Nope, not for this one. But with our ability to have a predefined package gallery of nearly 400 pieces of software, where I can automatically import that software from the manufacturer website and then include it in a software bundle and saying where that software bundle should be allocated to endpoints, I can make this a zero-touch approach while still maintaining the ability for self-service profiles, right? Self-service for the end users so they can have whatever software they may need to apply for themselves. But let's go through a little bit more of what sorts of workflows we've already got involved, applied here. Asset management. So being able to maintain inventories of endpoints. Now, the first thing I'll say, I'm not trying to be a CMDB, but I'm trying to make sure that the CMDB you have has data as relevant and as recent as you need it to be. The ability to hang on to data for up to, in our case, up to 180 days, and then pipe that wherever else it might need to go. Or vulnerability management, configuration compliance, right? The third leg of that stool of patching and software distribution, that good IT hygiene, where I can run scans daily, right? I've got a number of customers who run their scans daily because it's so low impact in their environment to help map to PCI, HIPAA, CMMC, all based on CIS benchmarks for the configuration compliance side and leveraging CVE information to return vulnerability management on any of our supported OSs, as well as remote authenticated scans for Cisco iOS, Cisco ASA, VMware ESX, as well as Juniper Networks gear. So we've talked kind of about the good IT hygiene pieces. What else can Tanium do? Our Enforce module, looking at BitLocker, AppLocker, removable device control, being able to go apply local GPO, and even, soon to be out of beta, MDM for Mac OS systems, right? So currently in beta, that'll be available soon. And I apologize, my role-based access control showing off on me here a little bit. Let's bump up our permissions and be able to see, right? So if we need to get into local firewalls, administrative templates, all of these available at your fingertips from Tanium. When we start talking about sensitive data discovery, performance, or even better, tying performance metrics into end user engagement. So our performance module will look at CPU, memory, disk utilization, right? Hard disk utilization. And when we find events, we can either drive alerts or automatically engage with our engage module, appropriately named, to issue surveys to end users. Those surveys can then be tracked over time. And even more than just tracked over time, they can even allow for automated remediation based on the response of the end user. One of the things I've seen this be incredibly impactful for has been a couple of customers of mine that are actually leveraging this functionality for taking some of that front end load off of their tier one support teams, helping streamline a lot of that workflow, right? Great, good deal. And then our threat response module, really anchoring in the security side of the story, looking for conditions matched to MITRE attack techniques that really augment the incident response workflow. Now, we're not trying to be an antivirus, right? There's a lot of great AV providers out there and folks that are going even beyond AV. We're looking to pick up once something's found and be able to go look for not just what's malicious, but what might just be strange. If you've got an enterprise hunting team, we can help enable them with question-based approaches, driving directly to immediate responses, and the ability to take any action they so desire when they need it done. Now, last but not least, I think we can all identify with the fact that that which cannot be shown in a pretty board, right, pretty graph, when we start talking up the chain, it didn't actually happen. Any question Tanium can ask, I can represent graphically. And this is just a small subset, right? Because again, if you can't show that you did it, how are you going to relate that to someone who may not have time to really dig in? We can show these trends. One of my personal favorites, look at Chrome vulnerabilities by year, stretch that over time. Let's look at this back last quarter. How have we looked? My demo environment stays pretty static. But all of this absolutely available for customizing in whatever way best fits your organization. All right. Well, with that, thank you for the time on the demo. See, I'll give this back a bit. And I'll go to my next slide. So let's connect, right? Feel free, reach out to Tanium. How can we best engage? How can we best answer your questions? How can we best come show you the ways in which Tanium might be best put to use in your environment? Love to have that conversation. And so now I'd like to open it up for a little bit of Q&A.
Let's do it. Oh, that was so great. Man, I love being able to get in and see a platform in action, Chad. Thank you so much for walking us through that and really kind of taking the time to give everyone an idea of how that will function for them. I think that was really impactful, and we got a lot of great questions coming in. Before we get into those, I am going to put this wish list, this shopping list up on the screen for all of you. And what we want to know is what additional information you would like to get about the Tanium solution. So go wild, guilt-free shopping, click on everything and let Tanium know how they can follow up with you and what information would be helpful for you. While you're doing that, Chad and I are going to dig into some questions. Chad, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to start with this one here because I love it. I do think it's an important one to address. And we have some people out there that are, speaking of shopping, they're shopping around and trying to find the right solution for them. So if you had to give Tanium a key unique, something that makes you stand out, what would you want the audience to know that?
So the biggest thing about Tanium, as I've mentioned in my demo, is really the root of everything we do, is the fact that we can get to live data better than any other product I've ever seen on the market. That's why I came to Tanium in the first place. I was very picky about, my next move after my last one, right? And so if you're looking at why do I want to call in Tanium, it really comes down to visibility and control of an environment holistically, right? With a platform that can legitimately do just about anything. And those workflows that I showed are just kind of what we've built so far.
Well, I think that's a great, unique, and something that's clearly resonating. And I'm just scrolling through some of these questions here because we've got some great ones. I'm going to jump into this one here. Can you talk about how Tanium would deal with stuck deployments of patches or upgrades, etc.? For example, bad software from Microsoft or from any bad software that's clashing with already installed random previous versions of patches, etc. Sometimes tracking these issues ends up costing a lot of time.
Sure. So one of the things that I find, let's start with the patching side, right? So
Mhm.
Microsoft puts out a bad patch. Can we roll that back? Answer, yes, absolutely. I can roll back a Microsoft patch as well as Microsoft can roll it back for themselves, right?
Hmm.
Um, Secondly, if we're talking about, hey, Windows Update isn't doing what it should do, it's not applying patches correctly, we actually have the ability, running as local system, to go and, air quotes, bump Windows Update to try and refresh, right? Get it unstuck and get rolling again. Um, again, if you can do it as local system or root, I can make that action happen on the endpoint. And if we need to engage an end user notification system, it just changes a little bit of the methodology that I use in Tanium, but I can engage an end user notification to say, hey, I'm about to go make this change. Is now a good time? Yes or no? And allow them to potentially push off or not, right? Depending on what's best for the IT operations team.
Perfect. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about speed, and I think we got a couple of questions that relate to this. So let's start with can you tell us how often the endpoints are queried in order to keep data current in the stored database? And then I'm also going to ask you a follow up to that. What happens to the data held after 180 days?
Yeah. So I'll start with the second one first. So the data held, the data when it hits 180 days old within Tanium, it's expired. Now, that is refreshed regularly from Tanium to go back to the first question. So as Tanium has endpoints checking in, and this is kind of an interesting difference between Tanium and just about everything else. When I showed that architecture, the reason why we don't need all of the relay servers and whatnot is because I'm not shoving things down to the endpoint. I'm letting the endpoints check in with me. And they're checking in to
Mm.
say, okay, hey, what do I need? What should I be doing? And then at the same time, coming back with, hey, by the way, here's my updated information from stuff you told me to keep current, right? So a lot of those things within our asset module, our asset database, they're generally refreshed about every 4 to 6 hours, but that's configurable within Tanium. Now the endpoints are checking in with the Tanium server on average every 5 minutes. So about every 4 to 6 minutes, he's given a little ping, hey, I'm alive, anything for me? Yes, no. But if one of the endpoints checks in, sees that there's something to do, he brings it back and then activates the phone tree amongst all of his peers on the local subnet. Right. So that's where we kind of talked about that linear chain architecture. I don't want to dive too deep in there. Glad to have more of a conversation for anyone that would like it. But that linear chain architecture really is how we're activating the phone tree, or, for those techies on the line, it's kind of more of a token ring type approach, so that this data is getting populated amongst the peers and everybody's getting what they need. But that's why the more endpoints I have, the faster that data gets populated out into my environment. And I've got environments today in the DoD that have over 1 million endpoints, and I can legitimately go pull every installed application from 1 million endpoints in under a minute.
Mm.
Right? I
That's
mean,
just wild.
it's ridiculous, right? There is
Yeah.
no other platform on the market that can do what we do at the scale and speed.
Well, you know what? I wish we could keep going with this, Chad, but I think that is a great place to leave it right as we come up on the end of time. And I want to ask you if somebody out there is really excited about Tanium, and I think you've got a couple of raving fans out there after this presentation, certainly. What would you recommend as the first step for getting started?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So reach out you can go to tanium.com. We have a Tanium trial at try.tanium.com for anyone that would like to kind of check it out, see what it looks like for our cloud environment. One other thing I wanted to make sure, I think I skipped over the slide earlier and I apologize, put in a plug for our Converge conference coming in November 13th to the 16th down in Austin, Texas. For anyone that would like to attend, there will be a ton of Tanium's content delivered during the conference, and it can be attended virtually as well.
Awesome. I just put that up on the screen as a little reminder for everyone. I do love those opportunities to get to connect and chat. And I love that you're doing this in both virtual and in person. I have to say, you'd think I would very much skew towards virtual. I think there's an opportunity for both. So whatever fits with people, if you can make it to Austin, why not, right? But if that's a hassle, hey, virtual is a great option. And I really appreciate that, Chad. Thank you so much for being here with us today. This has been just a ton of fun.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, well, we're going to keep things rolling, and I do want to thank all of you out there for clicking on that shopping list, that wish list, that resource wish list. Please be sure you've got those answers coming in, and while you're doing that, I am going to remind you again about the handouts tab. I'll keep reminding you as we go through because it's very easy to forget. There's so much information coming at us, and these handouts are going to be a great way to make sure that you're able to jog your memory. There's a ton of info that we're going to get throughout our day here together. And as much as we want to believe we're going to remember all of it, we just aren't. So the handouts are a wonderful way to kind of jog that memory, remind yourself, oh, right, that was that cool demo. And we talked about this and that information, and then also be able to share that with other colleagues and coworkers. So, and the Tanium handout is actually a Tanium risk assessment. So you can get to know your IT risk score. This is a great way to assess the risk of all your endpoints against multiple vectors. It is going to take just 5 days. It's no cost. So awesome resource. Be sure that you click on that, have that open, and save that to look at a little bit more later on after we've wrapped up our MegaCast today. All right, and then we are going to keep things moving right along because, and sorry, Marco, I do see you saying here, is this the same survey for Tanium? Yes, I moved away to show you the Converge slide. Now we've moved back to it, so this is the same poll. So if you already clicked on the poll, your answers are still logged. You do not have to click again. If you haven't clicked on the wish list, the shopping list up on the screen, now is the time. Okay, and let's see, I said prize giveaways and then I got distracted, so let's get back to it. We have a $300 Amazon gift card waiting for you, and our next winner, who is here live and present at the MegaCast, is Tony Takano of California. Tony Takano of California. Tony, you won the Tanium prize. You're Tony Takano, the Tanium prize winner, which is alliterative, and I dig it. All right. Well, we will follow up with you after we wrap, and stay tuned. Lots more chances to win. Plus, we have that best question gift card in each one of our sessions. So keep those questions coming in. And I will remind you again that if we don't get to you live, we will follow up with you either in live chat today or through email in follow up. So keep the questions coming in. You will get answers, and you are entered to win that prize. All right, my friends. Well, keeping things rolling right along in the MegaCast. Now, I know some of you are looking at the name up on the screen, and you already know that we are in for a treat because this awesome speaker is a familiar face here and an all-around fascinating human, and that is, of course, Roger Grimes, data-driven defense evangelist at KnowBe4. Roger, thank you so much for being here with us again at the MegaCast today. Now, I know you have a lot of cool stuff lined up for us as always, and I can't wait to dive in. So let's get things rolling. Roger, the platform is all yours. Take it away.
Thanks, everyone, for showing up today for my incredible ways you can be hacked using email. I know dozens and dozens of really cool ways to hack you using email, but I'm going to discuss the four most interesting and cool ways that I think a lot of people don't know about. At least there should be at least one way that you've probably not seen before. My name is Roger Grimes, been doing computer security for 33 years. I'm the data-driven defense evangelist for KnowBe4. I've written 12 books and over 1,000 magazine articles on computer security. There are some of my books that I've written in the past. I work for KnowBe4. We're the world's largest security awareness training and simulated phishing platform vendor. I love working for KnowBe4. And today, here are the 4 types of email attacks we're going to talk about. Password hash theft, which I think a lot of people, that's probably the one that most people haven't seen. It's a bit rare, but I think once you see how easy it is to do, it's pretty startling. Then we'll talk about password spray attacks, which are really popular, and then rogue recoveries and rogue forms. So the first one is this idea that I can send you an email that if you just simply open, or most of the time I have to get you to click on a link, but the link in that email can trick your system into sending a Windows integrated authentication challenge response to a hacker server that reveals your password hash. So let me say that one more time. I can create a URL as an attacker, send it to you in email, and all you have to do is open the email, although most of the time, 99.9% of the time, you have to click on the link, but it's not that hard to get people to click on links. But that link points to an object that's on a malicious web server on the internet. It then asks your system to do an NT challenge response logon authentication. The hacker that can capture that NT challenge response information, convert it to your NT hash, which represents your Windows password, and then crack that back to your plain text password. So essentially, in a nutshell, I can send you an email, and if you open it or click on the link, I can get your Windows password. I'm going to show you a video in just a minute. Kevin Mitnick, KnowBe4's chief hacking officer, is going to show you how he does it. But the essential trick is that if you have a URL with file:// in it, it confuses the system. And this will work on Windows systems, Mac systems, Linux systems, anything that's connected to a Windows network, and have them accidentally connect over the internet even when they shouldn't be. There are ways to fight it, including there's even a patch for this, but it's an optional patch, and I've never seen anyone ever have the patch applied. But I've written more about it. I've got some HTTPS links here. You can watch the video as well that will tell you all the defenses you can do. But let's go into Kevin's video. It's a pretty cool thing to see, to watch him do. It's a pretty quick video. He's just essentially going to open an email and show you how he captures the hash and then cracks it. So let's take a look.
This is the attacker system in the cloud, in the Amazon cloud in Virginia. And we have, I'm logged into Outlook 365 here. I'm simply just going to click on the email. I just clicked. It takes a second for Office 365 to load. And here we go. We could see that the email's from Roger Grimes at nsa.gov, which is quite interesting. And there's nothing there. There's no hyperlink to click on. There's no attachment. But if we go over to the attacker system over here in the cloud, we were able to intercept or obtain the victim's NTLM v2 hash. So let's go ahead and try to do this. So we're going to go ahead and highlight this. We're going to copy it. We're going to go over to our password cracker over here. We're going to create a file. Here we go. We're going to paste in the hash. Very simple. And then what I'm going to do is just run a shell script that tries to crack the hash through a dictionary attack. And this is using a tool called Local Hashcat. And guess what? It's already cracked the hash. So if we scroll up here, we see there was a user named Kevin, right? And the password to the hash is Kevin123.
So, I mean, that's pretty amazing if you've never seen anything like that before. Again, Kevin sent an email to the quote-unquote victim. They opened up the email, and although Kevin's demo shows you just opening up the email, and every instance I've ever tried this trick, the person has to be tricked into clicking on the URL, and when they click on the URL, it transmits this password, Windows NT, called Integrated Authentication Password Challenge Response Session to the remote server, and then he's able to capture the NT hash from that and crack that with a password cracking system. It's pretty amazing. I can send you an email, and all you did was click on a link, and I end up with your Windows password. That's a pretty wild thing. The next attack, the one that Kevin just did, was fairly rare. I've never seen it. So rare, I've never seen it in the real world. It's just more of a demo to show you what can be done. But this next type of attack, password sprays, is done in the real world all the time. It's one of the most popular types of attacks. But essentially, the attacker takes a whole bunch of login accounts of an organization and only guesses a couple of passwords against each account slowly over time. It's also called credential stuffing. The traditional password attack is that an attacker will focus on one account and try a million different passwords. But this is kind of the opposite. The attacker gets all the logon accounts that they can of an organization. They find an online portal to guess against, and then they guess only a couple of passwords, or maybe maybe 1,000 passwords, but over a really long period of time so they don't kick off the account lockout. And you can never lock out the true Windows administrator account, but all they really need is a logon portal they can guess against, a whole bunch of login names, a password file, and a tool that can do it. And it's very, very popular. Acme said that they saw over 61 billion credential stuffing attacks in 18 months alone. 61 billion credential stuffing attacks. So it is like one of the most popular types of attacks out there. When Citrix got broken into last year, the FBI told Citrix the hackers likely got in using a technique called password spraying. Many organizations compromised this way. Again, the first step is that the attacker has to find out as many login names as they can. They can use a bunch of different tools, and especially a bunch of what's called open source intelligence tools to get that information. There's a bunch of them out there, but ReconNG is probably among the most famous or the most popularly used, because you can actually look up, you can put a name like knowbefore.com and tell that tool bring out all the login accounts that are in password dump files. So a lot of times people's login names and email accounts are in password dump files on the internet that are all over the internet, but those passwords are aged or old, but the logon accounts themselves, the login label, the identity is good. They just have to guess using different types of passwords. So step one for an attacker for this type of attack is to find a bunch of login accounts for a particular organization that they want to target. Step two, they have to find an unprotected online portal to guess against. It could be like Outlook for web access. It could be Office 365. It could be Gmail. It could be a Cisco VPN connection. It could be, an Active Directory Federated Services login. But they have to find some unprotected online portal that doesn't require multi-factor authentication. They can also guess against any internet-exposed application programming interface. 75% of the password spray attacks actually aren't against logon portals. They're against API interfaces. And that's because API interfaces for different companies are often exposed to the internet, and they will allow logins, but they never require multi-factor authentication, because you can't programmatically enable multi-factor authentication, or not easily, and certainly not most. So that's a very, very common method as well with these spray attacks. Step three is the attacker has to have some type of common password list. They exist all over the internet in all sorts of forms. You can download your favorite password list anywhere you want to. There's some examples there. Then you download a password spray tool. There's dozens of them, including probably the most common password spray tool is known as Spray, or Spray shell script in Linux. And then you just fire it off against the target and see whether you log in or not. These are real screen captures that I found on the internet of different, I think they're white hat hackers guessing against different organizations, and you can see where they're being successful. Like in the first example there, anything that's a 4371 is a successful password guess. In the second example, you can actually see what that there's a person they guessed that they had the password named Princess. And the trick is they try to guess very slowly. They're slow, wide attacks. They don't usually set off via the security information services. They could. You could tell your security information service to look for these sort of attacks, but most people don't look for them. They're looking for a person's guessing 1 million times against one account, but not that they're guessing a couple of times every 15 minutes against 1,000 different accounts. So you want to make sure your security information event log alerting service looks for like a really great number of bad logon attempts across a whole bunch of accounts. That's the way you need to look at this. So you may want to check with your security defenses to see if they can detect these password spray credential stuffing accounts. Pretty wild. This is another type of method where most of the popular email services like Gmail and Office 365 and Yahoo and all the like, they allow you to recover your, you can say that, oh, I lost my MFA or I lost my password, and you can have them send you a PIN, an SMS or something like that, or to an alternate email account, and recover that account and get on in if you've forgotten your password or lost your MFA device or something. In this particular method I'm going to show you is where a hacker fakes being technical support on SMS on the phone, and then resets the victim's account so they get the code and they ask what that number is. So here's a good example here. Hacker sends a text message pretending to be from a particular email provider asking you for your forthcoming SMS PIN reset code. So here's a fake message. message, from Google Security, we have detected a rogue sign-in to your good guy at Gmail account. In order to determine a legitimate login, we're going to send you a verification code to your previously registered phone number from another Google support number. Please retype this sent verification code in response to this message, or your account will be permanently locked. You have to put that permanently locked party to tell them all their pictures will go away forever. You got to give them a stressor event. But anyways, you're telling them, hey, I'm going to send you a code to make sure you are who you say you are. Then the hacker, in this case, let's say with Gmail, would go to Google and gmail.com. They know the victim's email address. They click on the, hey, I forgot my password. Google's real nice, goes, hey, you want to try your last password? Say no, and then it will give you up to 4 different ways to recover that account. And this is the hacker. The hacker gets to pick, and the hacker's like, oh, I want you to send a verification code to my previously registered phone number. Then the victim gets that code. That is from the real Google account. They then type that in response to the, to that email, to the original SMS message, which is from a fake Google support person, and that person uses the number to take it over. This is very popular. See it all the time. It even happens a lot with voice calls where people call you, hey, we're from your bank, and we noticed that you bought 2 tickets from Dallas, Texas to Korea. Did you buy that, Mr. Grimes? No, you didn't. We didn't think you did, and we want you to know that we stopped those 2 ticket purchases. Well, there's another $30,000 of charges that look suspicious. We just need to confirm that they're not your charges, and we will happily reverse this and send you a new card. First, we have to verify you are who you say you are, Mr. Grimes. What's your login name? What's your password? Okay, and we're going to send you a pen, and we need you to tell us the exact pen that we send you, so we know you are who you say you are. And when you give them the pen, boom, they really take over your account. That happens literally thousands of times a day. And the trick is that you really don't know, with SMS and even phone calls, is the person on the other end of the line who they really say they are. So you have to be careful with those sorts of things. Just the defense here is just realize these trick recoveries, you don't know where SMS or phone calls are really coming from. You can't trust it. And the last example I'm going to give you is called a rogue form. This works with many of the most popular email systems. Works with Microsoft Outlook and Exchange. It works with Apple Mail. It works with Thunderbird. It works with Linux. But in most of these email clients like Outlook, you can actually create these rules or forms. And the rules and forms, they're intended so you can automate your life in email, where you can say, hey, if this email's coming in from my boss, I want you to highlight it. If it's coming in from my mother, I want you to put it in this folder. So there's all this automation that you can do in different email clients, and you can bad guys can use that automation against you. Well, this particular attack, this is a white hat hacker tool called from SensePost called Ruler, but Empire PowerShell is probably one of the first hacker tools, and that's another quote unquote white hat hacker tool. But it's been very popular over the last couple of years. But essentially, if I have your email address and password, so I fish you out of your email address and password, I can remotely install a new form or rule that then executes malicious code. And again, I'm going to show you this demo with the SensePost Ruler tool. You'll see how it happens. What's going to happen is they're going to create a rogue form on an email client, remote email client, that they then trigger by sending another email that requests that form, that then automates malicious code that opens up a Empire PowerShell reverse shell to the hacker's computer. It's a pretty cool demo to see. You should watch it. SensePost has a couple other great demos, but it's wild. All they have is the email address and password, and you can't block it with firewall. Pretty cool to see. So I'm going to show you this. I'll talk to you while it's going. It happens pretty quickly. But here we go. It goes kind of quick at the top. They have an Empire, or they have a SensePost Ruler tool. They're checking the version number. Now this is the victim client in Outlook. They're showing you that they don't have any rules or forms right now. It's all blank. On the right side of the screen, they have Process Explorer by Microsoft showing you what's running. And at the first Ruler tool that they run at the top, they're showing you the email address of the person, and the form is going to be called display. They're just checking to see that using the password they put in, they could connect to that email client at the bottom. It's Empire PowerShell listening agent. They're showing you there's no agents yet. At the top, they're going to have Empire PowerShell reverse shell. They're going to obfuscate it so it can't be found by antivirus. And now they're going to kick off their attack. So they're connecting to the email victims, adding a form called demo, and they're including in that form the Empire PowerShell reverse shell. Here it is. The tool's now connecting to that Outlook client. It's creating that malicious form, and then it's going to kick off that form by sending an email that when the email is opened or looked at, kicks off the Empire reverse shell. So now they're going to the client. You'll see the email arrive. And again, on the right side of the screen, it's Process Explorer, SysInternals Process Explorer. You'll see a command shell. There's the fake email, and boom. Now see that conhost.exe? That's a PowerShell, Empire PowerShell reverse shell opening up a listening agent to the hacker's computer. So again, all they did was, and now they're on that victim's computer with complete control of that system. All they did was have the email address and password, kick off the sense post ruler tool to inject a malicious form and activate it, so it opened up a reverse Empire reverse command com shell back to the hacker's server. Pretty wild, huh? So pretty wild. So that's kind of the end of my 4 types of email attacks. I think you'll agree they're all kind of interesting. Key takeaways to remember that email has long been a common attack vector. Not all attacks have technical defenses like these rogue rules and forms. There's no antivirus that's going to tell you that you have a rogue rule or form or rule, and you just have to check for your rules and forms and make sure that they're all legitimate. And just train your employees to be aware that email can be used against them in all the different ways it can be. And some of the stuff is a little bit more sophisticated than phishing. But also, if you're interested in more information, please come to our resources page at knowbefore.com/resources. We have a lot of really cool security tools, like if you want to find out if your password's out on the internet, a lot of cool webinars on there. And as a matter of fact, a longer version of even this, we've got 10 ways I can hack you via email. It has some other cool methods. Have some ebooks like the 12 ways to hack two-factor authentication. And also the 2020 ransomware hostage rescue manual that I worked on to help you with today's ransomware, which is getting more and more vicious. But again, the password exposure test tool, that's a really great tool to download. It will look for your passwords out on the internet to see if they're out on the internet in the dark web, and if they are, they'll report and let you know. It's a pretty cool tool to run. And lastly, if you have any other questions about this talk or any questions, feel free to email me at rogerg@knowbefore.com, and I promise I'll respond to your question within 24 hours. And thanks a lot for putting up with me and my very fast talking, and fight the good fight.
Roger, you might regret that, because a lot of the folks out there have been asking, will you adopt me? Will you join my family? There's a lot of people who would like to sit around the Thanksgiving dinner table with you, Roger. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. As always, what a huge amount of information, and really practical information. You know, I think one of the things I love about Roger, and as you say, Roger, you speak very quickly and cram a lot in. But I love that Roger always gives us a little bit of the fear and then a little bit of some solutions, some ideas, and some ways to kind of counteract some of these things that in many cases, I think, you know, a lot of those are stuff that we sort of know, we understand phishing, we understand email attack, we understand the risks with password, but then sometimes when you see just how easy it can be, I was thinking when they were talking about the example of someone calling you and saying, oh yeah, we need to make sure that your account's not frozen. And, you know, I'm pretty aware and don't give information out if someone calls me, but if someone started with there's been a fraudulent attack and then was kind of walking through and feeding me, you know, we have this pin, we're going to go through security. And I felt like I was part of the security. I can see how in a rushing moment, it would be easy to think you're doing the secure thing. You're following the secure pathway, and you're only giving information that's being asked, and you're receiving pins, and you know, it could feel very official, and it's very nerve-wracking to realize how easy it is to fall into some of these I guess traps, for lack of a better word. So yeah, a little bit scary, but the good news is there are some takeaways, including if you click on the handouts tab, you can actually snag an assessment tool from KnowBefore. And this is a free phishing security test. So you can find out what percentage of your employees are phish prone. So click into that handouts tab, make sure you've got that KnowBefore link open and that you're looking at that assessment. This is a great follow-up to that conversation. If you're feeling a little scared, that's a great way to take action and see how phish prone your team is. All right. Well, I'll encourage you all to click on the wish list, the shopping list, the poll that's up on the screen for you now as well. So if you have any follow-up information you'd like to get from KnowBe4, and again, lots of cool info from Roger, and there's so much more to dig into. So please do be sure that you click on that poll. Unfortunately, I'd like Roger to adopt me as an option up there for all of you who are wishing for that. But we'll see if we can get that added in for a future wish list. All right, my friends. Well, while you're doing all of that, I'm going to give away another prize. So we have two prizes this time. We have a $300 Amazon gift card, and we have one of those Kindle Scribes. So our next $300 Amazon gift card going to someone here live and present at the MegaCast, and that special someone is Dalton Hamilton of Texas. Dalton Hamilton of Texas, congratulations. And then we have a Kindle Scribe going to Marcin Wasiak of Massachusetts. Marcin Wasiak of Massachusetts, congratulations. Now, as always, we will be in touch about claiming your prizes after we wrap. So stay tuned for that and keep those questions coming in. Remember that even if we don't get to your question in a live Q&A session, you are still entered to win. So keep those questions rolling in, and we will also make sure that you get answers from these teams, even if we can't get to you live, because there's a lot of questions. We're short on time because we have so many great presenters here with us today. So speaking of which, we are going to keep things cruising right along. It has been such a great day already. Boy, this MegaCast has been jam-packed with cool information and incredible presenters, and the good times are keeping on because up next we get to chat with the Sophos crew. I am happy to introduce you all to Michael Pertwee, Senior Sales Engineer at Sophos. Michael, thank you so much for being here with us today. Now, I cannot wait to hear more about what's up, what's going on at Sophos, so I am going to hand things on over to you. Take it away, Michael.
Hey, Actual Tech family. My name is Michael Pertwee. I'm a senior sales engineer with Sophos. And today I wanted to take a couple of minutes to discuss next generation endpoint. I know that can mean tons of different things, but specifically around protection solutions and strategies around next generation endpoint. And before I can effectively dig deep into kind of the things that Sophos are doing, I need to set the stage, kind of where I see things are currently and why it is still a necessity to constantly evolve at the endpoint and server level, right? So obviously the threat landscape continually morphs, right? More and more organizations are moving to MDR services, and rightfully so. What we also see, and as I survey customers and talk to them, active adversaries and ransomware continue to be the lead heartburn inducers. So year over year, we see kind of the same trend. Hey, ransomware is really, really problematic. Ransomware tends to be very disruptive, and in some instances, resume updating situations. But prior to ransomware being deployed, a lot of the time there's an active adversary in the environment. Learning your environment, doing reconnaissance, probably testing things to see what is their best success path, and being able to detect those and do something about them is kind of something that keeps security organizations and security personnel up at night. And even with MDR services that provide that overarching security, a lot of the battles are still fought, won and lost at the endpoint and server level. And with that being said, it is a necessity for your endpoint and server protection to continuously innovate. And that is, Sophos is doing this is twofold. And I want to talk about two technologies that we've rolled out. The first is to combat the active adversary situation. So with our adaptive active adversary protection, excuse me, that's a mouthful. What this will do is dynamically, in a context-based, step up our defensive measures in order to remove the attacker's ability to kind of further their progress, right? We want to disrupt them and really buy time for the security personnel to come in, the response team to come in. And we want to disrupt them in a way that we're still able to provide insights needed for the complete remediation. The second one is our answer to provide protection around ransomware, and we call it CryptoGuard. And what CryptoGuard does is it automatically stops both local and remote unauthorized file encryption by malicious software, aka ransomware. And not only does it stop it, but it automatically restores the data back to its original state, effectively taking away ransomware's power over victims. And we do all of this automatically without any user admin intervention. Now, I want to be able to walk you through both of these technologies, and in order to do so, I set up some kind of demo informations here. So, in order to highlight the adaptive active adversary protection, I want to step you through a scenario. Right, the scenario is from a context-based perspective. How do we scale up our aggressiveness factor without harming the product in the sense that we have too many false positives? Now, obviously, the context piece is important. So we need to figure out a way to distinguish what's a regular user and what's an active adversary user. And we do this through a lot of our detection mechanisms and behavioral analytics on the endpoint level. Now, before I jump into that scenario, I want to show you as a regular user or a regular admin some of the things that we need to be able to do on a day-to-day basis. The first is utilize TeamViewer, right? TeamViewer is something that is almost ubiquitous in organizations, but it's a powerful tool in order to kind of do business-to-business transactions or just day-to-day transactions, right? And you can see here I launched it, it pulled up, it started without any issues. The second piece here is I want to walk you through some guided day-to-day kind of admin situations, right? The first is let's go ahead and add a user to a local admin group. So I'm going to do that. You can see here the commands that were being ran. So the first is we're going to create a username backup admin3 with this password, and it was successfully completed. And then the second one is we're going to add that user to a local group called administrators. And you can see that was successful as well. Now, another thing we would want to do maybe is delete Windows logs. And this could be for numerous reasons. One, maybe they're just kind of very verbose and you're really trying to hone into a specific issue and you kind of want to get rid of the clutter or a bunch of the background noise. So let's go ahead and delete the system log, right? So here we're deleting the system log and you can see that it completed successfully. And maybe we want to delete shadow copies for whatever reason. So I'm going to run a BSS admin command, BSS admin delete shadows all. There aren't any shadows to delete, so no items were found to satisfy that query, but the query or the command was still able to run. And the last is let's reboot into safe mode. Maybe I'm debugging a problem and I need to reboot into safe mode for whatever reason. So I'll run the command bcd edit and then set the safe boot to minimal, and effectively the next time I reboot, I would be able to reboot into safe mode. That's fine. What I'm going to do here is quit this menu, run a command that will simulate a series of events of us detecting that an active adversary is present on the endpoint, and then walk through running through those same commands, right? And show how we're disrupting the successful completion of those commands along the way. So here, I'll get a pop-up here. I've invoked the active adversary mode. And what I want to do here is essentially run through those same scenarios that I just ran through. And I was previously running through those things in an admin context. So now that I'm in an active adversary context, what happens if I try to launch TeamViewer? Previously, I launched TeamViewer, right? It successfully executed and it brought me to a screen that showed, hey, I need to connect to a user. Here's my PIN to effectively do that. You can see here that this was disrupted with disrupt 6A. mapping back to a MITRE. And then I was able to effectively disrupt the successful completion of the command, as well as disrupt any additional activities that the active adversary was trying to complete by using TeamViewer. The next is let's run through those same series of events that we did so earlier, but this time in the active adversary context. So the first is let's add a user to the local admin group. So you can see here kind of the same thing, right? We're adding a user backup admin with this password. However, when we go to add that user to the administrators group, we can see it was disrupted. We saw the pop-up in the bottom right, and access is denied. The second is, let's go ahead and delete Windows logs, right? Remember, as the admin, or in that context, I was deleting these logs because I wanted to reset what I was doing and remove a lot of maybe the background noise and chatter as I was trying to debug a problem. So as I'm trying to do this, right, we can see that this is blocked. And if we think about an active adversary, why would they want to delete system logs? And that's because they want to hide their tracks. So let's go ahead and disrupt them that way. Additionally, one of the first things that active adversaries seem to do when they make a toehold in their environment and their end game is to deploy ransomware, is they want to delete shadow copies. And not just shadow copies, they really want to delete any backups that are present. And if we start at the endpoint where shadow copies reside and then move our way outwards, that's very low-hanging fruit for them. So let's go ahead and try and delete shadow copies. You can see here, it was disrupted. We get this pop-up mapping back to a MITRE. And then the last one here is, let's reboot into safe mode. Again, disrupted, right? So effectively, we've scaled up our defenses. We've scaled up the aggressive mode in a context-based manner that we aren't false positiving in a useful context, and still leveraging the fact that we're being very aggressive and disrupting the malicious actor in the active adversary context. Quit out of this. And next, I want to pivot into our CryptoGuard piece, or our CryptoGuard demo. And if we remember my statement earlier, CryptoGuard is Sophos' technology to provide protection around ransomware. And the way that CryptoGuard works is that it's behavioral in nature, right? So what we want to do is, again, not be false positive heavy, but still ensure that we're providing protection against organizations and really provide protection against malicious actors out there, as we are the security partner within organizations. So the way that we effectively achieve this is we are constantly monitoring endpoints and servers that we're installed upon, and really raising our context level or awareness as soon as we detect something that exhibits cryptographic behavior, right? And cryptographic behavior is a key piece to ransomware, because what does ransomware do? It encrypts things, and then it displays a ransom note and then goes through a bevy of other things. But what we want to do here is assure organizations that have CryptoGuard deployed that we're not just activating in every instance that we see anything that shows or exhibits cryptographic behavior. So what we do is we take a couple hundred milliseconds to ascertain if that cryptographic process is good or bad. If it's good, right, maybe you guys are in a really good, or organizations are in a really good habit of encrypting data that they don't want to store or share in plain text. So we don't want to stop organizations from doing their day job. But we also want to make sure that in a malicious context, that anything that is trying to encrypt things, aka ransomware, is disrupted. So we take a couple of hundred milliseconds to ascertain between good or bad encryption. And then if we arrive at a decision that the encryption is indeed malicious, we then jump in and shut down the process. Not only that, but we're also continuously making just-in-time backups of things. So in the event that we do convict something as malicious, not only are we able to neutralize the threat, but then we can automatically, without any user or admin intervention, roll those files back to the pre-encrypted state. Now, a nuance that I said there that may have been missed is the just-in-time piece, right? So we don't want to rely on shadow copies, and rest assured that we don't. But we don't want to have some sort of mechanism where we're taking snapshots and we're missing any work that may have been done between the snapshot and the deployment of ransomware. So what I'm going to show here is a simulated ransomware event, right? Via this application. And what this application will do is it utilizes a real ransomware engine. It's just kind of neutered in the sense that I can point it to specific directories and then not have it go through my whole environment. So let's step through this piece right here, and I'm going to open it with LibreOffice. And what I'm going to do is make an edit to the document, minimize this guy, and then show that when I do deploy ransomware, that the backup that we are restored to, or the restore point that we're restoring to, is that just-in-time backup. It's not something in the past that I had previously staged. It's just in time here. So as I pull up this application here and hit encrypt, what it will do is survey this directory and start encrypting. And what you will see is iteratively, right, it already started that we're encrypting files and appending this Sophie extension, but at a certain point we'll stop. All the files will automatically go back to their pre-encrypted state, and then we should get a toast in the bottom right here. But as I'm waiting for that toast, what I will do is go back into this document, open it again, and what we will see is that that edit that I made just a couple of seconds ago still persists. Now, as we're waiting for that, I also want to step back through here and show that all of these files that we saw were encrypted and appended with that .sophie extension have been effectively rolled back, again, without any interaction from a user, without any interaction from an admin. And now we are in a remediation step on that endpoint to go ahead and forensically and at a very deep level look at anything that may have been dropped on an endpoint. Were there any digital breadcrumbs left? Were there anything that, from a WebSocket or a command and control perspective, maybe emanating or left around in the background? So at the end of the remediation period, not only do you know that the threat or the ransomware was thwarted, the files reverted back to the pre-encrypted state, but that endpoint is then provided back to you in a known goods clean state. Now, both of these things can be attributed to maybe SOAR, right? If you're not familiar with SOAR, SOAR is security, orchestration, and automated response. And if you think about it, in both of these scenarios, there was security orchestration, right? We had to learn the context and we automatically did that. But then we provided an automated response piece. If I go back to that active adversary scenario, we automatically were disrupting kind of key situations along the way that there may have been tactics, techniques, or procedures in a malicious actor or threat actor's tool belt that they would utilize to either continue their threat, provide additional enumeration or reconnaissance steps along the way, but we wanted to disrupt those things and we automatically did that. Now, if I step over into the CryptoGuard piece, we are also providing that automatic remediation or response mechanism. And not only were we able to automatically ascertain in real time if that cryptographic process were good or bad, but as soon as we did distinguish that it was bad, not only were we able to neutralize the threat and shut down the process, but we automatically were able to also roll those files back to the pre-encrypted state. So in both scenarios, right, we were able to, from a context-based perspective, gain context, gain some additional insight that is needed to dictate what we do next. And then as soon as we gathered that insight and information, we did what we had to do next, right? And what the next steps were is make sure that we protected the endpoint, kind of a shields up mechanism, and then we provided immediate automated response to that. And in that sense, if I go back to my statement about MDR, that buys more time, right? We were able to raise an alert, but then we were able to buy more time for the MDR team to jump in and provide further investigation, remediation, and analysis. And not just a threat containment perspective, but also an incident response perspective. So this may have been endpoint 0, but there are a lot of good key pieces of information, IOCs, IOBs, IOAs, that were detected on this that then can be leveraged by the MDR team to further out, utilize, and threat hunts across the whole organization. So while this may be, again, endpoint 0, we need to take that information from a reactive perspective and then pivot to a proactive or preemptive perspective and utilize that information across endpoints 1 through N so that we can further bolster the additional security mechanisms. And again, my name is Michael Pertwee, Senior Sales Engineer at Sophos. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and then I can make sure that we get you plugged into the right resource and answer those questions if I can't answer them in real time. Thanks for your time, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Michael. What a great presentation and a really interesting walkthrough. I know that the audience really appreciated that, and we've got a lot of questions coming in. As Michael said, we're going to switch them over to live chat and try to get some answers back to you over live chat. Oh boy, I need to stop and get some coffee, hey? We'll switch that over to live chat, and we'll also make sure that any questions that don't get answered today are followed up in email. So keep those questions coming in. We want to hear from you. And while you're writing in your final questions to Michael and to the Sophos team, I will also remind you that there's that wish list up on the screen for you there. And what we're wondering is what additional information you would like to get about the Sophos solution. So we just got a ton of great info from Michael, and there's obviously so much more to dig into. There's so much we didn't get to cover. So this is a great way to make sure that you're getting just the follow-ups that you need in exactly the way that you want them, however you like to receive information, whether that's a demo, a data sheet, a white paper, case studies, whatever you need. So click on that shopping list, click on that poll on the screen there. And while you are doing that, I will move things into a prize giveaway, but I also have to remind, I feel like I keep bait and switching you guys on that. We're going to give away a prize. Oh, wait, one more thing. When I was growing up in the Midwest, we called that the Minnesota goodbye. So I'm Minnesota goodbying all of you and just extending the prizes out. But I do have to remind you to click on that Sophos link and make sure you get the white paper, Endpoint Protection, Best Practices to Block Ransomware. This is giving you some really, really in-depth practical guidance on configuring your endpoint solution to provide optimum protection. So that is why we're here today. We're looking for that optimum protection, that the Optimus Prime of protection. And so if you are looking to do a little bit of further reading on that, please do click on that handout. Make sure you've got that white paper downloaded. Save that to read after we wrap. All right, well, enough Minnesota goodbying. Let's get back into our prize giveaway. So we have a $300 Amazon gift card going to someone here. Lucky present, alive, coffee-infused human at the MegaCast today. And that special someone is Jonathan Spicer of Maryland. Jonathan Spicer of Maryland, congratulations. You have won a $300 Amazon gift card. All right, my friends. Well, we are going to keep things rolling because we have reached, I do not know how this has happened, but we are already at our final presentation of the MegaCast today. Boy, I feel like we just started. I think we just got things rolling, and now here we are at our very last presentation. But here's the good news. We are ending on a high note because we have the awesome folks here with us from Automox to bring us on home. And that is, of course, Jason Kikta, Chief Information Security Officer at Automox. Jason, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today as our grand finale. Now, I know you've got some great info lined up for us. We got lots to do, lots in front of us. So, Jason, I am going to hand things on over to you, and I'll step back. Take it away.
Hello. And welcome. My name is Jason Kikta, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Product here at Automox. Today, I'd like to talk to you about our automated endpoint management solution and what it can do for your IT team. First, a little bit about me. I've been in IT for over 20 years in every position from help desk to CIO, And so I'm rather passionate about providing good solutions to IT teams. So the core challenge that we're trying to address at Automox is that technology is changing and IT tools generally have not kept pace. Many of the on-premise tools that I grew up with are still in use today. And while that seems like a testament to their longevity, a lot of it is simply due to inertia. Many of those have not kept pace with the time or with innovation, and their architecture is not designed for modern environments. So a lot of the compatibility that they have with modern solutions like SaaS are bolted on. Additionally, most of them are VPN dependent. They were built for a different age, an age where you had a single enterprise perimeter, and most of your IT systems were desktops that lived within an office building and, weren't ever turned off. And today you have a number of users and sites that use VPNs, which were a good solution when they were developed over a decade ago, but they have started to show their age. They're unreliable when you have automated processes that you need to run, especially outside of core user hours, right? If those users, are off of their systems, those VPNs don't always stay up. And so it can interfere with any of your updates or configuration tasks that you have scheduled to run during that downtime. And then there's a lot minimal automation, and it can get very time consuming, and that ends up costing you a lot of touch labor. Touch labor used to be that you'd walk out of the office and, get on the elevator and go to the right floor and physically find a system. And for some, that is still the case today. But even, with remote tooling, you can end up doing a lot of touch labor by having to log into those systems or having to, bring it up in a console and figure out why one specific system didn't apply a configuration or an update as it was supposed to. So having the automation to handle those things reliably at scale is extremely important for modern teams. So, we are big believers that technology ought to make work easier and work for you. As far as our architecture go, again, it's cloud native, no infrastructure for you to run on site, no VPNs necessary. We want to offload all of that work for you. It's also cross-platform. Modern environments have a lot more of a heterogeneous mix than in the past. And so you need to be able to support Windows, Mac OS, and multiple distributions of Linux, as well as all those third-party software packages that are necessary to make your business or organization run. And then we've put a lot of thought into our REST API. While we try to include as much functionality as possible in our console and platform, it's important that you have the integration and automation options across the entirety of your technology stack that work for you. And so we want to enable that. And then our lightweight agent deploys within minutes and can get you up and running right away on your configuration and update tasks. As far as our functionality goes, we build it around three core functions: updating software packages, configuring endpoints, and then controlling them remotely. So that is where, we build the entire premise of our policies and our automation flows around making each of those as simple to do as humanly possible. And we even, thoughtfully include limited AI to make that helpful. It's not there to replace the human. It's there to augment you and to make everything go faster. So we want to be able to patch everything automatically. Windows, Mac OS, and over 10 Linux distributions and growing. Right. And not just be able to handle them, but be able to give you that unified view where you can see each of them in a singular, common way and get, metrics across the entirety of your enterprise. And then over 450 supported software titles, because, again, it's really important to make sure that we cover as much as we possibly can for you because much of your network will run, the same handful of software packages. A lot of your user endpoints probably look about 80 to 90% similar, right? But it's that last 10 to 20% that eats so much of our time with updates. And so building that support in right out of the box, that's what allows us to save you so very much time and make it a seamless process. Our IT automation, it's built for modern orgs. Again, we started back in the days of on-premise Active Directory, where group policy objects were a great way to write something in PowerShell and push it out across your enterprise. But that didn't flow over to modern SaaS-enabled IAMs. It's not something that is easy to do today, and you need a single point to be able to push those scripts, and not just for PowerShell, but for Bash as well, for Mac OS and Linux. You need to be able to leverage an existing catalog, generate scripts easily, and then also create custom scripts of your own. And so we support each of those models simultaneously. We have a catalog of over 300 scripts that our staff has developed and our security has vetted to ensure that you have a robust platform from which to pull scripts that either meet your need or easily modified to fit your network. And then the ability to generate them with our auto AI functionality, right? So a large language model that we have preconditioned to generate appropriate scripts for your network. You'll still need to do some human review to make sure it's what you wanted, but it's a great enabler for those more junior employees who are still learning to script and script well. And it's also an enabler for those very senior ones who are quite experienced but want to save time. And then we will always support creating from scratch and being able to customize infinitely on your own. That's our goal here. And that's, we want to think about not just what are you able to do today with your most capable employees, but what are you able to do with those newer ones who are coming up, throughout their professional career and at various levels of experience, to ensure that everyone can be a productive and contributing member of your team. Massive time savings and massive results. This is really where we bring it home of the core value proposition of Automox. Within 5 minutes of deploying the agent, it can be pushing updates and configurations to those endpoints or accept a remote control session. 80% less time spent keeping updates, endpoints up to date on average. That's really, really meaningful because your IT team has only so many hours in the day, right? And you want to get off work. You want to get those tasks done, get out of there, go enjoy your kids' T-ball team or T-ball game, go spend time with your family, go work on those hobbies that are meaningful to you. Life is not about work. Work is something necessary that we all have to do, but the less time that you can spend on those tasks, the better. It also helps with, there are things that are just not easy to automate and, in any environment. And so taking the load off by taking the things that are well suited to automation and helping you do those is really, really meaningful because it reduces the amount of time that you have to spend on them and frees you up to do those other things. And then also, the thoughtful automation that we attempt to provide you is, based entirely on this premise that humans are really good at, making experience-based decisions, at intuition, and, coming up with a policy as a general rule. And computers are very good at tedious tasks, repetition, doing things at scale. So all of our automation is built around that premise, and it allows you to set the policy with your experience and your intuition and your knowledge of your corporate policies, and then have the computer simply perform it. And simple administration, 91% lower costs on average. Again, huge savings for you that you can now reinvest either in your team or in your technology stack to get after those things that you still need to do otherwise. We have a lot of trusted customers, thousands of them, and it's really been fantastic during my time at Automox to watch our community grow and to see all the good that we've done for a variety of different organizations. So we have Fortune 500 companies, we have small and medium businesses, we have schools, municipal governments, charities. Really, we have a very diverse customer set, and it's not only very fulfilling to be able to support all those different types of customers, but also to get the feedback from them on what they like and what they need and what they're looking for next to support a wide variety of use cases. Again, your ability to automate any action on any endpoint is our North Star. And you can see here, this is a example of our worklet catalog, which again is PowerShell for Windows, Bash for Mac and Linux. And these scripts are easily discoverable and easy to implement and wrap it within a policy in our console. So I encourage all of you to check it out. You can view this live on our website. You can go and you can look them up, the actual scripts themselves. You'll have to set up a demo and see that through the console, but you can go and see this right now and see the wide variety of common tasks that we have available pre-built for you to run today. We have 3 different tiers. Standard is our basic tier, but I want to point out that we still included the training because that on-demand training and engagement through the university and the community and the onboarding webinar are important because we want you to feel comfortable in the platform, and we want you to feel confident in the task that you're trying to accomplish. And then at premium, we go to 24/7 support for critical issues with enhanced response time, personalized onboarding. And, now you get into our optimization engagement, where we will help you tune the system to work best on your network in a best practices webinar. And then at our premium plus level, that's where you get your dedicated technical account manager with up to 16 hours a month, designated technical account manager with up to 16 hours a month, that proactive outreach and that knowledge transfer and product guidance. And then integrations to supercharge your investments. We understand that we are but one part of a rather robust IT and security stack. And so we've built a lot of integrations, and they continue to grow to be able to pull data from certain platforms, be able to push it to others, but really to work in harmony with the rest of your network. 98% of our customers would recommend Automox to a peer, according to Gartner Peer Insights. That's pretty amazing. It's something that we're all very proud of. That's not been easy to do, and it's a result of the culture in our company of putting the customers first and being the most reliable platform possible. I have a system I can trust that just works, and it's amazing. That's pretty high praise, and it really warms my heart that we can provide that sort of experience to someone. With Automox, I don't have to worry about vulnerabilities coming up. And again, that's a really critical factor that I want to drive home, which is you can set up policies to say, I want to patch, critical vulnerabilities, CVSS score of say 8.0 and above. I want to patch those tonight, and I want to patch my high vulnerabilities this weekend. I want to patch mediums and lows once a month. I want to do functionality patches, once a quarter. Whatever fits your schedule. Have different policies for user workstations versus servers. Have different policies for different groups of users. All of those are easy to do and very straightforward within Automox. And then 30 hours per week to keep our IT systems patched before Automox. Now it takes an hour per week. That's really the end goal of, when I came up through the ranks of IT, we would have a team dedicated to applying updates and keeping things within the configuration state that we desired. And instead of having a dedicated team, this is a small part of one person's week now. That's a game changer, especially if you have a smaller IT staff. Like, think of what you could do if all the folks who have to work on that or work on some large UEM platform that's been around forever and required a lot of training to learn that platform and a lot of hours invested to just keep it running week after week. Now it's really a side job, right? It's something they check in on occasionally. That's game changing and really, really meaningful. And then Automox is a breeze. I love to hear that feedback because, it's what we're trying to do to make it just as simple as absolutely possible. And that's, something that we engineer in at every step of our platform on our console for you, is to just make it a breeze, make it simple, make it straightforward, make it easy and achievable. And then, I spend about 1 hour per week managing 200 plus devices. That means I can get more done, right? Customer after customer, that has been their experience, because that's what we deliver to you, is that ability to really scale your ideas, your desires, your business needs or organizational needs up to the entirety of your network, right? You think it, the system does it. That's what we're here for. So thank you for your time today. I hope you appreciated this, and have a great day.
Oh, thank you so much, Jason. What an incredible talk, and definitely the perfect way to wrap up an exciting MegaCast. Lots of great takeaways, and I know the audience is really enjoying that because we have a ton of questions coming in. You guys are clearly alive, awake, alert, and enthusiastic out there, so keep those questions coming. We are doing our best. The Automox team is here answering them on live chat as quickly as they can, so you will get some answers back over live chat, and you will also get follow-up. If we don't get back to you on live chat today, you'll get some emails back to you as well. So keep the questions rolling in. Now, if the questions aren't enough, if you need more information to take away, and don't we all? That's what we're here for, right? Is that lifelong learning and curiosity that we're bringing to these conversations. So another great follow-up to our chat today is to click on the wish list on your screen, the poll on your screen. What additional information would you like to get about the Automox solution? Now, this is a great way to make sure that you are able to follow up on everything we just heard from Jason, dig in a bit further, and share this information with your team. So if you click on this wish list, you'll get that data sheet, that white paper, the case study, whatever it is that you're looking for. They'll send it right to you, and then you can take that, put that into your own research planning, or share it with the other members of your team, whoever you need to involve in the conversation, to make sure that you're getting the right info to the right people. So click on the wish list, get those questions in, and head on over, if you haven't already, to the handouts tab. So one last reminder to click on that handouts tab. Be sure you click on the Automox link and be sure that you get that takeaway. It's actually a really cool solution brief. Automox for endpoint management: patch, manage, and control your endpoints. So this is the perfect follow-up to the conversation that we just had with Jason. Be sure you've got that downloaded, save that, hold on to that for later. Okay, my friends, well, we have covered a lot. We've got the poll, we've got the handouts, we've got the questions, and that means it is time for a prize giveaway. So we have a $300 Amazon gift card as well as a Kindle Scribe. So an Amazon gift card going to Daniel Fisher of Pennsylvania, and a Kindle Scribe going to Michelle Gyo of California, Congratulations to our final winners. I'm going to read the entire list of all the people who, if they are live here and present, have won either an Amazon gift card or a Kindle Scribe. Our lucky winners here today: Ian Radke Rosen of Minnesota has gotten a $300 Amazon gift card. A gift card also going to Michael McClung of Massachusetts, to Tony Takano of California, also to Dalton Hamilton of Texas, to Jonathan Spicer of Maryland, and to Daniel Fisher of Pennsylvania. Our 3 Kindle Scribes going to Kurt Sminke of Pennsylvania, Marcin Wasiak of Massachusetts, and Michelle Gyo of California. Congratulations to all our awesome winners. I will remind you again that anyone who asked a question today is entered in that Best Question gift card. So all you have to do is ask a great question question and you are entered to win. Even if we don't get to you live, you are still entered to win that. We will follow up with our best question winners after we wrap, as well as all our winners. So stay tuned for that. All right, my friends. Well, if you are here on the MegaCast today and thinking this has been a great time and maybe you would like to get involved, you've got a story you want to tell on a summit, an EcoCast, a MegaCast, any kind of webinar coming up, we would love to hear from you. So shoot us a message, reach out, email us at connect@actualtechmedia.com. Alrighty, well, with that, we are bringing it to a close. And on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to once again thank all of our incredible speakers here with us today from Kaseya, CyberArk, Tanium, KnowBe4, Sophos, and Automox. What an incredible MegaCast this has been. My brain is absolutely buzzing. There's been so much information and so many great takeaways. And because bringing around to that, I want to make sure that I once again thank all of you out there in the audience today. I know how busy your days are. This has come up a lot. A lot of our speakers have referenced this sort of ever and never ending, battle or journey, whatever word however you feel about it on that given day, struggle or joyful experience. A lot of what we do is needing to constantly be innovating, to be constantly evaluating and reevaluating and adjusting and tweaking and building that robust security stack that Jason was just talking about at the end here. And that really is an ongoing process. And so as we build, as what David called, what did he call it? The smooth, shiny, integrated onion. Whatever metaphor that you are using for your security programming, having a good plan for endpoint management, endpoint privilege security is a must. It's a really important part of that smooth, shiny, integrated security onion, which is the metaphor I'm using from now on because I like it. So, this conversation is incredibly important. These opportunities for ongoing learning, for ongoing conversation is so important. And I know that because we're so busy, it's hard to take time away in our day. And so I want to give all of you a big high five and really share that appreciation with you for taking time out of your day, for taking time to put towards yourself, towards your team, towards your organization, and having this research, be something that is hopefully going to make you feel a little more informed or equipped to tackle and implement some of these opportunities at your organization, in your team. But most of all, as always, I hope that you had fun with all of us today. I see Ben saying, "Ooh, shiny," about the shiny integrated security onion. Yes, Ben, I agree. We are taking away that metaphor, all of us. Well, I think that it's probably about time. If you haven't already been, as I've been saying, snacking on the leftover Halloween candy, it is time to go get some Twizzlers or Reese's peanut butter cups, or if you're one of those weirdos who likes Tootsie Rolls, whatever you got in the bag there, head on out. And before you leave us entirely, be sure that you've locked away in your brain. We have another EcoCast tomorrow, Thursday, November 2nd. That's at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, supercharging your Kubernetes environment and cloud native apps. This is super cool, super fun, supercharging, super exciting. You choose your descriptor, but either way, it's going to be a great conversation as we supercharge our Kubernetes environments and cloud native apps. And I can't wait to dive into that with all of you tomorrow. Again, that's Thursday, November 2nd, 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. All right, my friends, well, off you go on about your days. I hope that I get to see you all tomorrow and at a webinar, at an EcoCast, at a MegaCast, at a summit sometime soon, whenever we get to chat again. Until that day, I hope you have an absolutely beautiful rest of your day.